said because I really don't want to do what happened with Lucas and Miriam. That I still feel like.
You're watching WGXA Fox 24. Your home for Super Bowl 45.
I'm not feeling myself today. Can you feel me? Being bothered by obnoxious strangers and someone you just don't want around? Now there's Jerkaway, an all-new product designed and guaranteed to repel unwanted people.
Told you that would work. You really got that jerk away.
Jerkaway. Also good with mosquitoes, ticks, cockroaches, rodents, fleas, and other pests and sleazeballs.
And we are back into our second hour of the morning roast. It's
Brilliant.
It's 9:05 a.m. and we are here with our guest, former State Senator Miriam Harris.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you so
Welcome
much.
to our show.
And before that, Miriam, you were city council president?
President.
Yes.
I knew you were on city council. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember you were president. There you go. So go ahead.
Yeah, we went from beautiful city council president to a one-eye guy. Anyway,
Wow.
welcome, Miriam.
That's how we do it.
Well, that's how we do here. So
She knows that. This is the
She
morning
knows
roast.
that.
Morning roast.
The morning rose.
Brian, that Brian that's out there, is that Brian?
I think that is our buddy Brian. Yeah,
He
by the
vote-
way.
Brian voted for you, Miriam.
Yes, Brian.
Oh, great.
Yeah, Brian,
Yes.
Mayor, we have chatters on here 2, 4, 6, 8. We have about 18 viewers.
Thank you,
And
Brian.
we've got about 2, 4, 6, 7. And Mary,
Yeah, that's him.
these are viewers from everywhere. I mean, we got
Yeah.
we got a guy from England. We got a girl from New Jersey. This is all over.
Yeah,
So
all
get your
over.
Message out there.
By the way, Gamer Girl says welcome. She is so pretty, ain't she? She's gorgeous.
Oh,
Yes,
thank
it is.
you.
And hello, guess don't get my name, scare you.
Horrible Bites from Indiana. Scorpion is
His
you.
name is right.
Hi, everybody.
All right, so let's go with it. Irvin,
Great
you
to
want
be
to?
here.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Well, first of all, yeah, thank you once again for coming on.
We always appreciate our guests.
And here's what I love about her. Last night she shows up. She said, because I didn't want to have a hard time finding a place,
Right.
I made sure that I just could figure out where you guys are at, which I think is really, really cool.
Well,
I think is really cool. And it goes to show her commitment to what she says she's going to do and follow up with it. I've got a couple of questions for you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I
Okay.
really am. I'm
Okay.
doing great. Thank you.
That's an
Thanks for
old New
asking.
York question.
Okay.
And I ain't got the big wig and the big breast implants, but
How you doing?
how you doing?
That's right.
How you doing? How you
Then
doing?
the other question is, do you miss what you were doing?
A little.
Yeah.
A little. You know, I think that I think that I'm good at politics
Mm-hmm.
because I am able to build coalitions and
Are you still in some way connected to it? Do you still have work that you have to perform?
I do. I am currently working with the Consolidation Transition
Okay.
team, and I chair the Human Resources Committee. So
Wonderful.
I have a lot of
You have a
work
lot of
to
work.
do with that. Yes.
What about working with Lucas? I mean, do you have to go near that guy?
No. You know, they're in session, and today's the last day of session. So,
Okay.
But he doesn't work on the transition team.
Now, what happens to a senator when, for whatever reason, you have? You want to cut that off?
It's a little too loud.
Yeah. Okay.
That noise
What
is
happens?
real loud.
That's all right.
It's warm.
It's a one switch.
Yeah.
What happens to the senator when he gets up there or she gets up there I mean, what's the first thing that really starts to happen that you have to kind of dig your hands into?
Well,
We just want to get a sense, or I do anyway, want to get a sense of what the job really is all about.
anytime you are in a group with a lot of people, you have to formulate relationships. You know, you have to.
Like everything else.
Yes, of course. You know, find out who the players are, who the non-participants are, and just try to bridge, you know, with the people,
Right.
with your colleagues.
And that's the
try
hard
to
part.
bridge the gap. A lot of times, that's the word. That's the phrase I was looking for. Bridge the gap. Because if you are diametrically opposed on issues, something has to be between you in order for you to, down the road, you know.
To bridge the gap, so to speak.
Yes.
But don't you?
Yeah, the gap of the aisle.
Right, but Miriam, don't you? I mean, isn't it hard sometimes though to go there knowing that you're going to be working with some people that deep down, we try to be honest on the show, and it doesn't mean we're hateful. It doesn't mean we're attacking. It's just it's being human. But don't you think, kind of, when you go there, you had to look at some people and go, I dread working with this person. You know what I mean? I mean,
No,
you know already how they're going to be.
Right.
You know how they're not going to cooperate. They're not going to want anything.
The way they look at you
just
with the
in general,
haughty eyes.
You have to know that. You know what I mean?
That does happen. There was an organization I was with where I felt like that.
Right.
But with the Senate, this was a much higher
Right.
level. It was
Right.
a lot more professional group.
Right.
They all were concerned about, you know, the issues that were important to their constituents, and they were very focused on that. And it wasn't so much of a turf war there. I didn't experience that.
Right. Which you
no.
can't say the same for the city council.
No, I can't
Probably.
say that. Right,
Right.
right. City
Right.
council was very much different.
Right.
You've got some good people and some very hardworking people on city council. And I think, you know, the general public may not relate to the meetings and
Yeah.
the number of meetings that you have to attend,
Right.
as well as the functions that you're invited to and are expected to attend, and how much time it takes out of a person's day.
Okay.
It's truly a service, and I think, you know, a lot of times they get beat for just a few that make them look bad, but at the same time, these people are doing the things that are necessary to provide.
So you
services
find it
of the
easier to
city.
work upstate than you would have here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good to
I don't
know.
know if easier is the word. It was a more
Pleasant, right? Maybe
pleasant, but also
accommodating, maybe.
it was accommodating, but it was also more
More civil.
it's more civil. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
because you're kind of
where
lost
you
in the
can-
sauce up there, right? Like here, everybody knows you. Up there, like,
Well, you know,
it'd
you're
be the equivalent of moving to New York coming from this place.
well,
You just kind of feel like you're in the middle of somewhere.
if you're living in Atlanta, yeah, I think living in Atlanta gets like that. But when you're in session and you're working, it's a very high-paced, just fast-moving system up there.
Yeah.
You know, you have committee meetings during the
Right.
day, and
Yeah, for all the
Session.
making is, we're still very blessed to be in the city. At least to be able to have some impact. Because everywhere else, nobody gives anything, you know. But here, at least you feel the impact right away.
We got some questions from the callers, viewers, and chatters. We'll get to them in a minute. We haven't forgotten.
We'll get to those guys.
We'll get
Yeah,
y'all's
we'll do.
questions
We
to
can.
her. Now I don't know if you know this about me, Miriam. I don't know how much you're aware of me, but I'm pretty damn critical of people around
Yeah.
here, politicians especially.
Alright.
I don't care much for politics, to tell you the truth. But that being said, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and these are just respectful questions. I'm not in any
Sure.
way trying to make you nervous or squirm.
It's okay.
It's good for you to have this also. You know you need the thick skin.
yeah, it's right.
So, did you, before the election, the last election happened, did you kind of take it for granted, you think, that you were going to beat Lucas?
No.
You didn't?
No, I didn't. We knew we had a very serious contender.
Uh-huh.
My campaign knew that.
Right.
I think where I went wrong was that I figured the electorate was going to look at my record, that they were going to see that I had done my work,
Right.
that I had stayed true to my party,
Right.
and that, my real concern is about Macon and Bibb County and for District 26.
Right.
I really, and I've had that question before, because people seem to think that, oh, well, you didn't want it as much this time, and that's just
Right.
not true.
It's kind of the Buck Melton effect is what people thought. He thought the first time Jack Ellis won, Buck Melton was running against Ellis, and Buck Melton was the standard guy who had already been mayor.
Right.
He was the good old boy.
Right.
I think he assumed he was going to win
Right.
against Ellis that first time Ellis won, and again, everybody was shocked because the assumption was that Ellis is not going to beat Buck Melton, the great Buck Melton. But again, and I think because of that Melton didn't campaign as hard as he should have.
And plus also
And,
remember,
and that's the
plus
sin that's committed is the idea that you're
Right.
going to win. So why?
Right.
And plus,
spend the
also,
money.
let's not forget, it's been 2 decades. He was mayor before.
Right.
He was
Right.
mayor back during the mid 70s, and
Right.
he himself said he
Right.
just wanted just do one term as mayor, and then that was it.
Well, I'll tell you too. After I got out of session, and I really was focused on learning the process up there, and trying to really forge the relationships
That
needed
took
to be
about 6
forged.
months, no?
Well, I mean, it was like I said, it was very high paced,
Right.
and I really had to just submerge myself in it.
Uh-huh.
Well, while I was doing that, my opponent was out. I would get a call every week that he was, down in Hancock County, down in Wilkinson County, telling people that I was a sellout, that I was.
Right.
So the weeds were so high when I got back
Right.
to the people,
Right.
I really
That's-
couldn't believe that
It's the
they.
dirty side of politics.
That's right, and
That's
that
the
was how.
dirty- That's right.
And you have to prepare for that.
Right.
But I
think
chose.
my computer. I think
Um,
the plug went off.
Well, that's fine. Go ahead.
Hopefully-
Don't interrupt. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I chose to, just not go down to that level.
Right.
And I don't know.
Which that's respectable.
Well,
I mean,
I.
that's respectable.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, when you get into politics, that's part of the game.
Yeah, that's
one
right.
reason I'm not a fan of it. But to be able to try to stay away from that
Well,
is somewhat respectable.
I just didn't want to engage, and there were
Right.
a lot of things that I could have
And you think that hurts
come
you?
back
You
with.
think that hurts you?
I really do.
Right.
And people, regardless as to how we feel about it, people like dirty politics.
Oh, of course.
They love to see.
Well,
why-
especially
to
that he
see
plays
somebody
it so
on the
well.
side.
That's why a lot of people get into it, and that's why a lot of people want to follow it on the news every
And that's
day,
a lot of,
because
and that's
it's
the
a
reason.
soap opera.
It's the
It's
reason
their
why a
soap
lot of people, good people, stay out of it.
Right. Right.
And that's why when we've got good candidates that are running, we really need to vet our candidates. That's one thing that I think a lot of communities are guilty of. They just listen to the sound bites that are being projected
Yeah.
by the media, and they go with it,
Well, but the media also plays a role, and like I put out a video with the media, and they happen to pick out like the worst picture that I could possibly have taken, and that's the one they put up. And I said, you got somebody in those offices there just playing a game with, they're in the pocket of some politician who says, we don't like that guy, and maybe that guy start to have some residue of not liking you because he said he doesn't like you, and that's my friend. And so then they put up unflattering pictures of you, and I'm sure that has happened to you, where here you are, a beautiful woman, they'll put up like your ugliest expression that they happen to catch, and they throw that up.
Yeah.
And it also happened to Mr. Lucas with that yawning. I think that's a great picture that shows exactly where he's at.
Okay, let's get the chatters so we don't lose their
Yeah,
feed
go
up
ahead.
here. Let's get and some of these chatters again, they're from out of state,
Right.
so they're
Okay.
going for bigger issues.
Okay.
One of them wants to know, ask the senator, meaning you, about the recent gay marriage issue.
Yes.
They want your opinion basically on something beyond Macon.
Right. Well, I kind of think that the Supreme Court justices are more than likely going to pass it down to the states.
Right.
And let the
Make them
states make
decide.
the decision.
Right. You agree with that? Is that the way you would handle it? Do you agree with letting the states make the decision, or do you think it should be handled by the higher court?
Well, you know, I mean, when you look at the way that they're doing with the abortion issue,
Right.
you know, the Supreme Court did decide that.
Right.
But now you got the states coming in making
Changes.
you know, making changes. You know, I think was it North Dakota yesterday
I think so.
that just came
think
up
so.
with at the time of the heartbeat. You know,
So you're for the state's decision?
well,
That-
let me
well,
say
I don't
this,
wanna put
and
that in your mouth, but-
what I'm saying is this. It's hard for me to support any type of discrimination.
Right.
And I think that we have to treat all people equally, regardless as to what their race, creed, or origin, sexual orientation is.
Right.
You know, and we just have to progress to the 21st century. Excuse me.
Actually, the 20th century, the way some of these people.
That's true.
Yeah, but
Bacon sometimes is still in
That
the
was
20th century.
that was a Freudian slip.
Early,
It was a
yeah,
Freudian
early
slip.
20th century.
Okay, next question. Go ahead.
Well, before she moves on, you
Well, I
see,
just
this
wanna
is
get
the
the
same
chatter
problem.
Right.
This is the same problem that I have. Is I kind of support gay marriage, but I don't know if I really do. You know?
You?
Yeah.
I understand, and that, you know.
Because
I
my
assume-
Christian background.
That's
so
right.
it's very hard.
As Christians, you do, but you just have to know that we all have situations that
Yeah.
you know God is always dealing with us on whatever our specific situation is.
Go.
Oh yeah, there was a question from Uric Wildcat. It says, having been in
He's local. He's
He's
in Macon.
local.
This
He's
guy's
okay.
in Macon. So
Mhm.
it's,
It says, having been in the Capitol, what do you think about the leaders that are in touch, who they represent? Even
does she think that
does
the
she-
leaders are in touch with who they represent,
Even in
at
the
least the
community.
of the community?
Okay. Sometimes it's hard to do that. People want to get in contact with you, but they don't always know how.
Right.
That's why the elected people have to kind of make their rounds around the county or the district, whichever it is.
Don't they sometimes though just send? I mean, I've had this problem a lot lately. Ever since the Sammy Davis Jr. shooting, I have called numerous offices local and have constantly been told by the secretary they're not in, they're not in, they're not in.
They're at
we
too long,
we
still
all,
on
we all know
vacation.
what they're not in usually means. It means they are in, they just don't want to talk to you that's on the phone.
Yeah.
And I constantly heard this, and this is one reason why I finally took the measures I took, because the mayor in particular kept ignoring my calls. Right? People don't know that I called him about 3 or 4 times before that first time
Heckle.
we went to the city, state of the city address, and we said what we did there. I'd already tried to call this guy and come to his office, and his secretary one time actually said she wrote me on his schedule and that she would email her his schedule to me to show where I was penciled in. I gave her my email address. She never did that. So back to my point about it is, and I'm not saying you do this. I'm not accusing anybody in particular, other than who I've called and experienced.
Right.
But my thing is that a lot of times they just pass it. I mean, they say they're open to their public. They say they're open to their
They're not.
constituents. But then when you call to really get to talk to them, they give you the brush off. And I think that's another reason so many people are just so disenchanted with it.
Well, and that's the
Because
thing
it's-
that we're
it's like
trying to
you're not
break.
really talking to the people.
Yeah.
You're staying behind that green curtain. You know,
Well,
you're the wizard
we're
behind
trying
the
to
curtain.
break that, Anthony. I think we've already caused the egg to
Well,
crack.
right. But I want to ask her as far as, does she think that happens a lot? I mean, like I said, I can't say you did that. I never called your office once when you were in
She
either
answers the
position.
phone every time.
See, and
Well-
I just think that's got to be a problem that they have to start correcting also.
Yeah.
It
I
is.
actually compliment her that she picks up the phone every
Okay.
time I call her.
Right.
And a lot of times I don't know it's him calling me.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he changed
You don't
my
I'm
have-
phone
calling
number.
her on her
Sometimes
cell
I-
phone and she
call
picks it up.
However,
And then-
I
and
do
then we
have
hang
caller
up.
ID, but
Right.
I think he's changed the number a couple
That's
times.
true. That's true.
And so
You need
What-
to get
but
an
for
Elton
me-
John ringtone for him, and then you'll know it's Irvin.
for me,
Anyway.
it's easier to just answer the phone call when it comes in.
Get it out of the way.
That way you don't have to.
Backtrack.
Right.
Exactly. That's what I would
However,
think.
but let me say this though. When you are in office, you get a barrage of calls
I'm sure.
and a barrage of concerns. And all of the time, it's not so simple to get back to a person within 24 hours.
Right. Right.
So the 24-hour thing, most people should pretty much throw that out the window.
Right.
But it is important for elected officials to return phone calls.
Right.
I've been accused of it from time to time, not returning a phone call. Sometimes you're at a loss and you don't know what to do with the issue.
Right.
And it may be out of your hands.
Right.
And that can cause some people to not respond. But I certainly am not trying to justify.
Right. But wouldn't that be the honest response? I would respect the person more if they did call me back and said, well, to tell you the truth, I can't give you an answer to that now. I mean, I would respect that more than them constantly ignoring my calls.
Right.
You know, I would respect the politician and the leader and the community activist better if they came back and were honest, because it shows, again, a human side. These politicians have to show that they're human. They don't. They act like robots. They act like they have no emotions. They act like they have no sense sometimes. And instead, I think they need to act human and go, look, I'm trying what's best for this city, but I'm not perfect, and I'm going to tell you that I'm not perfect. I'm not going to say I don't have the answer to that. I'll call you back when I do. We don't even get that.
I think your point is good, Anthony, but it's like you're asking both sides of a politician. It's like, okay, don't act like a robot, act human.
But can't they be both? I mean, I don't think they should be robotic at all. But can't they be? Can't they be both?
It's hard to be both.
You think so? Really?
It is, because when you're out there and your name is out there and your face is out there and people are constantly calling you, and then you're getting criticisms from every side.
But that's part of the game.
That is part of the game.
Tough skin is needed.
But you do,
right.
and that's what that tough skin turns into robot.
Right. Right.
And then and you have to protect yourself to a certain degree.
Right.
It's like you don't want to take it personally.
Right.
And so you really just have to kind of get a little plastic about the whole thing. But it's always good for people. I mean, if you're not going to be up for the job of responding to your constituents, then you need to let that be known up front.
Because I think if Irvin wins, I think Irvin will be one of the guys that would call and talk to everybody. I think I could see Irvin constantly calling people. I'd see Irvin on the phone like 24 hours a day, technically, which that might annoy them, that Irvin's calling them that much. But you know what I mean? I would see you really talking to people.
Yes.
I would hope.
Yeah, even as mundane as they are. By the way, I just want to make mention of this now that you said that. I have called David Davis's office now 5 times. And Mr. Davis, who I voted for, and I think he's a wonderful gentleman. But remember what you just said, they don't never return your calls? He's never returned my calls. I'm supposed to be sitting down with him, and I told him, I want to meet with you and talk about the community needs and LEC and this and that. Even a good guy seems to not be able to get that right. What is the problem with just returning a phone call? And especially, he has a secretary. Yeah. If he can't make it, have his secretary call me.
Well, I just think when they get calls in, a secretary
it's a lack of respect.
It is, and I think they should put them down on a piece of paper in order. And this is, I think, how the person that's being called should respond to him in order. If his secretary or her secretary says, Mr. or Mrs. Johnson called at 9:45 on this day, you write them down, their number. Then you go the next. This person called the next day at 10 o'clock, and then you just follow the list. You don't have to jump around and go, I'm going to get this person first and come back to this one. If you go down the list, you're going to eventually get all the people.
There is a way of doing it and getting through it.
A simple way to do it. And it baffles me how people can't think simply sometimes.
With all the complications in him, I empathize with what you said. There's just so much coming at you that you're just trying to figure out what's under your plate even.
Well, people also have their own personal lives,
exactly.
Their families, their jobs,
exactly.
and such as that.
Right.
City council is supposed to be a part-time position.
Right.
I found it to be very much full-time, especially as president. I found it to be very much full-time. However, I'm not trying to make excuses for that. I think you're right. I think that politicians should answer phone calls.
Yeah.
And
they work for us.
Even if it's a week late.
Right.
People still want to hear back from their
and it makes a person feel great that you took the time out to return a call, and it may make them vote for you the next time around.
Well, I'll tell you what. I had a situation when I was in session last year. The charter school bill was on the floor. And one of the charter school organizations had given me money for my campaign, and I think they thought that that secured my vote.
Right.
Well, I'm not opposed to charter schools
Right.
per se,
Right.
but the way that the state was trying to do it,
They
you know,
expected you.
well, the charter school people expected me to vote
Right.
for the charter school amendment, which was a constitutional amendment. And when I didn't, they took out a tremendous ad on me here, and I was still in Atlanta. It was on the radio, and there's these two women talking and saying, you know, Miriam Paris is not looking out for our children.
Right.
And when
I
the
remember
fact
that.
of the matter was, I was looking out for Bibb counties and for District 20, all of the children of
Did you respond to that? I mean,
When-
I actually
when
on an ad or in an interview?
well, no, I didn't.
You didn't?
I didn't.
How did you respond to it, if anything? Did you just let it ride?
What I got a few phone calls
Okay.
from Macon about it, and my secretary told me, she said, you've had a few calls about the charter school bill, had quite a few emails as well. And so we got out of session. The bill did pass. And this one lady that called me from Macon, she was very upset. She said, I am so sorry that I voted for you because I thought you were going to stand up for the children, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I got back home, I called her just out of the clear blue. And she was just, she was so appreciative. And I was shocked at how she responded.
Right.
Because she said, I've never had a politician call me before.
Right.
Yeah.
But the reason I responded to her was because she was so poignant with her response to
Right.
this criticism. You know, to me, it was a bad move on the charter school people's position because
So
it
what
doesn't
did-
matter how much money you give
Right.
me. That's
right.
not
It
going to
shouldn't
buy
sway
my
your
vote.
vote.
Right.
That's true.
You know,
That's true. And you let them know that in advance. Yeah.
Right. Well, I
But
thought
what
they
did
knew
you
that.
not like about it? You said you were definitely for the kids, but there was something about that particular thing you didn't like. What in particular in a
Well,
nutshell did you not like about it? Which made you not vote for it?
The charter school bill was it was taking away local control. Now, we have a school board that is elected locally,
Right.
and whether we agree with them all of the time or not, the
Is that the one with Dalaman?
Well, that's
Was.
Well, he was.
he was superintendent.
Yeah.
He wasn't on the board.
Right.
However, the people elect these members to make the decisions for our district. And this was kind of usurping their authority
Right.
or going around their authority.
Right.
So that was one of the reasons why I did not support the charter school bill. And it also was it takes away local funds
Right.
that we don't.
And this
use.
was completely your thought. I mean, you weren't
It's-
pressured by anybody to go this way.
Now, what happens?
Because I've heard those accusations about you too, and I'm sure you hear them enough. That you're basically like another Republican tool, you know,
Yes,
of,
Yeah,
of the
shell out.
Republicans.
Right.
And so was
Yeah.
that? I mean,
no.
I'm just asking you the straight question.
Right,
I guess your answer.
Yeah.
But I've heard that a lot. When that happened, they've said that it was another that you weren't actually thinking for yourself, that you were just doing what the other people wanted you to do.
Well, now the Republicans were in full support of
Right.
the amendment.
Right. Well, you know what I mean when I
So-
say Republican.
Right.
That whole crowd that they blamed these Democrats for being Republican that happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Remember
Well,
that? The
now,
whole-
this-
what
They
was
do
the
it
name
with
for
Ricky.
it? What was the name for it? There was a thing on Facebook they called those local Republicans that turned Democrats. The whatever.
Oh,
Anyway.
Rhino, Republican
whatever.
in name only.
Right. Whatever.
By the
Anyway,
way, you
go
got
ahead.
any questions for
Well, let
our
her
cousin?
finish. Let her finish and you get in. Yeah.
To respond to the, she walks in lockstep with the Republicans.
Right.
We need to take the cloak off of that.
Right.
Because really, what that does to other black people, it's code. It's code for this is a person that's really
Gonna
white.
hold you down. Keep you down.
Or they're in the
Right.
pocket of the white man. People use the phrase Republican
Oh yeah.
in exchange for white.
Right.
And that's
racist.
Right.
And racist.
And good old
They
boy.
use it as meaning racist.
You know, I didn't even know why they use that terminology,
Well,
good
it's
old boy. None of
nonpartisan
these
from
guy
now
boys
on,
are good.
Right? It's nonpartisan from now on with the new consolidation.
Well,
No.
As far as the election goes, right? Am I correct?
Well,
or
and
no?
they were trying to get the bill through this session for nonpartisan.
Right.
It did not pass last
Oh,
year.
it did not.
No.
So it might not make it this time either.
Well, I don't know. They're getting some opposition on it. They, one thing about that too that I can say, when we were drafting the consolidation bill, Senator Staten and Representative Pete talked about this session about doing the nonpartisan
Right.
elections, and people were thinking that, oh, how do those Democrats feel now? That
Right.
signed off on that consolidation. You
Right.
got tricked, and no, we didn't get tricked at all.
Right.
They told us categorically
Right.
that they were going to go for nonpartisan this year. But we held them off on it last year.
Right.
That was one of the bargaining tools. The Democrats, we did not want nonpartisan elections. The Republicans wanted the sheriff.
Right.
We wanted a top cop. They wanted nonpartisan elections. So that was part of the bargaining tool for us. We traded off. They agreed to partisan elections. We agreed to a sheriff.
Right.
And then so the bill was drafted.
Yeah, Brian on the chat.
Yeah, I was
says-
just gonna
Brian-
read that.
yeah, go ahead, Irvin.
Brian says in other states the charter schools are funded by profit-minded investors from China, etc. I haven't heard this for Georgia, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Charter school is big business. In Florida, it is a $500 million industry. And it's really kind of like privatizing the school system. You've got, the food that comes in is brought in by a certain company. The real estate, it's just got so many different layers to it when the charter schools come in. And, everybody can't go to a charter school. Everybody's not going to get selected to go to a charter school. So what happens to our local inner city schools? You take
Well, they go
take
right
the
down the
brightest-
toilet. But
Yeah,
you've
that's
got
exactly right.
You have a lot of issues related to. There's not enough money to really re-educate some of these teachers, so they go in and they create this terrible atmosphere that's so boring that these kids don't want to get engaged. It's like babysitters. What is being done or what has been done in the past to try to bring some of these teachers up to the 21st century and make them understand? When I did Sunday school, my kids, they loved it when they came into my class. They couldn't wait. And I used to even use the Simpson dolls to teach them stuff. And, I even created this game where they would have to go, and it was kind of like a match game, if you remember that show.
Making it fun, right?
Why
You're trying to make it
can't
fun.
they get teachers who just have fun with the kids, as opposed to going in like, some old, fogey person that these kids look at and say, I can't relate.
teachers,
What do you think it needs to be done about that?
teachers have a hard time now with the curriculum because the curriculum is handed down from the state. And they have to abide by that.
Yeah.
If they don't, that's where your test scores start coming in and performance comes in. The teachers are on a very strict timeline
Yeah. That's a problem.
to get the lesson plan out, to get the feedback that they're supposed to get, to meet the various requirements for them to even
Move to the next thing.
move to the next level. So a lot of it is, bureaucracy.
Yeah.
It's not
Sad.
like the way it was when we were in, or when I was in school as a child. It was very interesting, and
Fun.
the teacher had leniency in the classroom.
It's
now
not that way.
It's not that way, and I really commend all the teachers for the hard work that they do because
Yeah, they don't.
it's
They don't get
very
paid enough.
No,
That's
they
the-
definitely
that's the
don't.
truth. They
When
don't
you've
get
got
paid enough.
when you've got entertainers and ball
Yes.
players getting
Yes.
paid hundreds
Way
of
too
millions
much.
of dollars, And then we've got teachers making 40 and 50,000, and you know,
If that much.
Yeah, exactly. And they say the hand that
All right, Miriam.
rocks the cradle rules the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna go this direction now because this is another thing.
Well, we gotta allow Derek also to
Well,
ask some
if you got a
questions.
question,
Well, I
Derek,
do
sorry.
have I guess maybe a few things. I mean, I remember you because I used to work at Fox 24 when you used to do the Union Furniture commercials.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, and having said that, how does the state senate be able to convince the state itself to bring not just more jobs but more businesses into Central Georgia, particularly in Macon and especially Warner Robins, especially when you have this one contractor pulling out of the base, taking away 300 jobs.
people.
So how do you convince them to bring more financial monetary structure here in the city in Central Georgia?
Well, it goes, Derek, thank you for your question. It goes back to really forging good relationships with your colleagues.
Yeah.
They're as much as we may not like it, there are power brokers
Okay.
in the state. I mean, you've got the governor, the lieutenant governor, and then you've got your majority whip, your president
Speaker of
pro
the
tem,
House, yeah.
all speaker of the house, and all like that, and people that are you're going to do business with your friends.
Right.
Now that doesn't always seal the deal, but it does make it a little bit more pleasant for a person to even consider you
Right.
when they are going to be passing out deals or whatever. Now, but the thing about it is this: all of the states are strapped as far as their budget is concerned. I think we've got about a $19.8 billion budget for the state of Georgia.
Wow.
And education takes up a large piece of that pie. It's right now we have to have the incentives in place to bring businesses and industry into.
How do you think that could be done? Because I feel like with these boring politicians, with all their noses up in the air, they could be able to be attractive enough to say, I like that guy. Let me find out more about him if they were up in Atlanta. I know I can get people down here just by my own belief and my own faith in the fact that if I go in that room, I'm going to say to that guy, listen, I need you to come down. And I would create like an atmosphere like, you need to come down and take a look at this. It's going to benefit you. As opposed to, what do you think, coming down to Macon and maybe there's something there for you.
Yeah,
I would excite it. I would be a showman. Why can't these people do that?
Basically,
They put on a show for them to get elected.
Basically, a lot of them get caught up in just the pomp and prestige of being, a state senator or whatever their title is.
Right.
And it's not about the people, it's about themselves. A lot of times, that's what it is.
Right.
I had this guy that was talking about he was a true Democrat, and he wasn't even a Democrat. He was a Democrat. Okay, just a straight out Democrat. It did nothing to do with Dems anywhere. It was solely about himself.
Right.
And it's sad when you see that. But we've got to be better stewards of.
Sounds like John Edwards. Right? John Edwards seemed like he was all about it.
But to tell you though, we really, as a community, have got to get a little better hold on why we vote for people. You can't just vote for a person because they're white or because they're black.
There's definitely voter ignorance.
And it's apathy, ignorance, and just plain old following. It's just like
who's your friend, not so much do you agree with their
so
stance.
many people say things that were so erroneous to me. My opponent had accused me of signing some kind of bills that were like outlandish, and I saw this lady, and I knew this lady for a long time, and she was like, well, he said, did you sign that? I said, ma'am, did you look? I said, do you have internet? She said, yes, of course I do. I said, well, did you go and check out my record and see where I did not vote yes on either of those that you're talking? Well, he said you took an opponent's word.
He said
on.
It doesn't surprise me.
it does.
It surprises me. It surprises me because.
Wow.
I want to.
Sure.
I think you need. I was working with Dave Cousineau when he was running for mayor last time.
Yes.
And we were on Mercer, and there were little big signs on a trailer. Jack Ellis went up to two girls. I was 35 years old. David says, "You know what that says?" He says, "Yeah, vote for Jack Ellis." And he had his thing. He said, "You know what this says?" They said, "We can't read."
Wow.
Well, that was one of the discoveries I discovered in jail.
It's familiarity with the sign. It's almost like if you see something so many times, you know. It's like McDonald's. It's like McDonald's. You know what McDonald's is because it's shoved down your face.
There's so many people that vote. They go on what Smith says.
Yeah,
and they vote
that's
for
why
they
symbolism
recognize
is
the
They all do
logo.
their own
Right.
research.
That's why symbolism is really powerful. Even if you're not
Right.
literate, you can definitely you're visual.
Right.
If you're,
Right.
So.
Okay, thanks Ed for that. So now this one I'm gonna get to, and you were one of the people of many that online I kind of questioned and got onto in a polite way. I didn't call you names.
Thank you.
But I said, and we're more familiar than you think, than you know, because I'm not going to give the address out where you live to the audience. But I'll tell you this: my mom lives on Hillcrest,
Oh, okay.
near you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, she likes you. My mom has always said good things about you. She said, "I do like her."
How could you not?
Well, my mom is a almost 73-year-old lady from Berlin, Germany. Okay.
Wow.
She's always pretty much, ever since she came here and became a citizen, she's always been a Republican. That's her beliefs.
Right.
So she doesn't like a hell of a lot of Democrats in general. But she's always liked you, so I want to tell you that. She
Tell your
said
mom
you were
so.
very well put together, you present yourself well, you spoke well. She's all about people speaking well.
Thank you.
That being said, she lives right near you.
Okay.
And that's where we moved there when my dad retired from the military in '83. I graduated from Central High School, so I basically grew up in that Cherokee Heights area.
Okay.
First we lived on Cherokee, then we lived on Hillcrest, where my mom to this day still has a house. When the Sammy Davis Jr. shooting happened, and you were one of the people I brought up in this, why were you quiet about it? Because especially since you live in that area and that's your area, that was one of the first things I thought. I thought, where is Miriam Paris? I mean, I know for a fact she lives near that Kroger. I know her house she lives in, and why is she quiet? And I know the basic answer is going to be you wanted to see all the facts first. I understand that. But the idea of, regardless of what came out of whether Sammy attacked Sutton or not, regardless of that, and this is what I was hollering about from the beginning, it didn't matter what came out as far as whether it was self-defense. To me, the issue was that Sutton was such a horrible police officer.
Horrible.
Before this, his record's horrible. Why was he even on the force? And that was really my stance from the beginning.
And he had just won an award.
And then if something came out later on that it was also done without any warrant, like Sammy hadn't attacked him or whatever, people this day still think Sammy didn't attack him. They think it's a self-inflicted scratch. That argument's going to go on
I still
forever.
say it's self-inflicted.
But regardless of that, let's say, let me give Sutton the benefit of the doubt that he was attacked. It still doesn't change of how horrible of an officer this guy was, and why the mayor and why the police chief did not get rid of this guy before December 21st, 2012. And that's what I thought, at least, that people in that community should have felt that way, being that that's their Kroger, that's our neighborhood, and anybody's child or mother or father or grandparent could have been shot by a stray bullet, a ricochet bullet, because that shooting happened so close to the entrance and exit of that Kroger during the day at 3:30 or so in the afternoon.
Plus it was close to the holidays anyway, to Christmas,
Right.
because it's going to be
Right,
packed
exactly.
anyway.
And to me, it frustrates me that you have these apathetic mayor, police chief who runs and hides.
Yeah.
He goes on medical leave. He runs and hides. The DA.
You have
the
Gaudet
DA's in
lying.
Gaudet's giving erroneous information.
Right.
And people in this town are just not everybody, but a lot of people in this town are just flippant about it.
Did you know that we're the ones that uncovered the fact that there was no warrant? It was.
Yeah, we broke it first.
We
like
broke it
7
to the
hours
news.
before the big news did.
Yeah, before the big news.
But I want to get your opinion as to why, your defense as to why you had not said anything about it.
Well, Anthony,
Being your neighborhood as well.
I'll tell you, I have often taken a position of listen, to hear
Right.
what is going to happen. And I've had my own run-ins with the police force.
I know you did.
Okay.
I remember the whole dog thing.
The thing with my dog.
The dog catcher thing. And I sided with you on that.
Well,
I did side with you on that.
and a lot of times, if you jump the gun, you make yourself look like you
Like Jack
alone.
Ellis.
Boiled fried wolf kind of thing.
Well,
or you look like you're
but
just jumping
I'll tell
on
you
a bandwagon.
what.
Right.
The day that it happened,
Right.
after it happened, I heard about it,
Right.
and I was at home.
Right.
I went to Kroger
Right.
because I thought, how awful.
Right.
This is right before Christmas, and you mean to tell me we're shooting people?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it wasn't, at Christmas time, but always those December deaths always kind of just take us by surprise.
Right. Tell our audience.
I have.
Just want to make sure you look at the camera.
Oh,
too.
I'm sorry. Okay.
That's fine. No, you're
Yeah.
fine.
I think the.
It's kind of hard, yeah.
Yeah,
Believe me, I'm always talking to Anthony.
I have to
Look
tell.
at the
I have to tell
audience.
Irvin to keep the audience in mind.
Right.
Well, because audience especially, they want to see a person's eyes.
Well,
especially
they're
a
talking
politician.
some other stuff here. So
Well, I'll
anyway,
tell you.
go ahead.
And I felt tremendous sympathy for Mr. Davis and his family
Right.
when he was killed. I'm no longer an elected official.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I try not to just stay up front. I have mayor's number. I have police chief, sheriff.
As a matter of fact, that's around the time you just lost the job, right? Didn't it happen the end of December?
No,
when it switched over back to Luke. Isn't that when it happened?
No,
it happened a little before
I was
that?
out of office in January.
Okay.
In January, my
So
my
technically,
term,
you were still a couple of
technically,
weeks still
yes, I
state
was.
senator.
That's
right.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well,
I have had a conversation with the mayor about it and,
Right.
and how he handled it, and I was disappointed.
Would you
that-
like to tell us what he said? I will reach for it if you can't. That's fine. But
Well-
what did he say to you about it? Because he's not answering me.
he really just listened.
Right.
He didn't have much commentary.
Right.
And I could understand. I've worked with the mayor for about 4 years there, and he's not a man that is quick to make rash decisions.
Right.
A lot of times when you are on the front lines or in the top
being
position,
attacked.
Well, but
You-
let her finish.
a lot of times there's so much more to the picture, and there's so much more information that the public, the information is not available to the public.
Right. Right.
They're not aware of it, and sometimes that's a good thing.
Right.
It's not that you want to hide from the people information that they may need to know, but sometimes it's just too much and could create panic or civil unrest and like that. So
You think that's what he was afraid of? Yeah, he was. I wouldn't. You maybe the word afraid is kind of more than it should be. Do you think that's what he was concerned about? That if he comes out, he makes a statement, it's going to cause people to be in an uproar.
He may have had that concern.
Well, what's so stupid about that conclusion is that in fact they got upset with him for not speaking up.
Right.
Right.
And
Well,
so,
And so it goes both ways.
But also, see, my thing though is not. That's what people aren't understanding. It's not that he's not speaking out on what happened on that particular day per se. It's my problem with the mayor and the chief is that they did nothing about this officer and these other officers that a week or two after were arrested for stealing a tractor.
correct.
Roth Avenue near that neighborhood.
All from 3.
All from Precinct 3, which is a whole other thing I'm doing now. I'm investigating Precinct 3. But not only that, then you have your 2 officers that steal guns from a scene on Cortland Avenue, which is, again, Cherokee Heights neighborhood, right there where you live, my mom lives, Cheryl Davis lives, Crow lives. It's all happened in that one area of less than a mile. Okay? And also we have 5 cops, because I will say Clayton Sutton is a corrupt cop. Regardless of the GBI's results, I will say he is still a corrupt cop because of his record prior to this shooting. That's where I'm getting on the mayor, is why did he not go back and look at this guy's record, even when the GBI still had the case in their desk, and say, you know what, I'm making a decision, an executive decision as boss of this police force, I'm firing this guy.
Right.
We should have fired him before. Regardless of whether
Well-
the GBI says he's guilty of this incident, he's still going to be let go now.
Well,
for
he
his
doesn't
previous
involve
record.
himself in such tedious matters
If
as
the
the mayor
mayor
said
had
to me.
done that, or the police chief had done that, they would have gained respect immediately from a good portion of this community. I know that for a fact. Now, what would have happened after the GBI came back and said Sutton was innocent and did nothing wrong, that's a different story. But now the mayor is so tainted in my eyes, and rightfully so, that I don't think he has a chance of winning. I really don't. Because I don't think he should win either, because I think he's done a horrible job, and especially with this case, he's done a horrible job. But I really think now that he is going to lose his job. And it's going to be mainly because of this case right here, because he has said nothing. You know, I know you're saying he didn't want to jump and be
He's
rash
either said
and
anything,
jump,
but not
but
only
he
that, he
said
just
nothing.
didn't.
He said nothing.
It took somebody from the federal government to actually say something before.
Right. I mean, well, not
Right.
federal government, but
And
state-
Al had him on
state-
the show.
State government.
The-
Yeah.
Right,
In
but I just
defense
don't-
of the mayor, a moment. Al had him on his show,
Uh-huh.
and I heard the video, the audio, and basically he literally sidestepped all the questions that Al was asking.
Right,
him.
right.
And he said, well, I'm going to let that, some others determine. The problem with the mayor is that the mayor only delegates what he wants to delegate. Look, he was able to get maps together that are very expensive to put together for 2nd Street. He was able to, get the cherry blossom, help with that. He was able to get all this stuff done. But yet, for whatever reason, he couldn't make a statement. Just step up to a mic in a video and a television station, say, get down here, I want to make a statement.
Right.
And just step up and have Chief Burns next to him saying, look, community, we're trying to investigate this. We're not sure what really happened. I think that, we're on this. No leadership whatsoever.
No, exactly.
And
None
in
whatsoever.
the midst of all this terrible mix and all this explosion, he's standing there at City Hall with a bunch of maps, like nothing else matters in the world but
Except
the 2nd
a bunch
Street
of old-
project.
except a bunch of
And
old
he's with the
buildings.
big
Right.
smile and everything is fine and dandy in my father's house, when in fact it's falling apart right under him.
Good point.
No concern, no care for the average citizen. And a mayor like that, I don't want. I don't care how nice you are. I don't care how avoiding you are. I want a mayor that's going to stand up and say something. Now, we've got the extremes. We've got Jack Ellis on one side, who's a showboat, and we got a mayor who's really just like the rudder of a ship, not doing much. And so, all I'm concerned about is who's going to step up and show some leadership in this city other than Elaine Lucas and all these people that are like the worst element, I believe, in that whole government. They're the only
Caller.
people that seem to be stepping up.
Caller. Let's see who this caller is. Hold on,
Morning,
morning.
Rose.
Hey, Donnie. Put it right there.
Hey, Donnie, what's up?
This is one of our callers, Donnie Curry. He lives out in Nevada.
Oh,
So, what do you have a question for the State Senator Marion Paris?
Yes, I have one question for you, which is kind of not tiptoeing around, but I'm just going to ask you, on a senator level, what is your opinion of basically law enforcement or people in authority getting accountability for their actions? That's basically what I'm getting from what they're trying to say. The problem that we have in our society is that whenever people like, and I use the word loosely, Gentleman Sutton does not be accountable for his actions, it's like Irving was just saying, all they did was to deflect the situation.
Right.
What is the Senate's view that you as a person, not you as a senator, but you as a person, should law enforcement or anybody of authority have accountability to the actions that their understudies and their under people do? I mean, I so far, as long as I've been watching the roast, all I've heard and seen the news clips and everything, no one's being accountable for their actions. They're not being questioned. They're not being, other than the the gentleman on the roast, you know, your average Joe is not being listened to by the public. I mean, that happens here in Nevada as well. I mean, we've got Harry Reid, who is not being accountable by his actions, and I see that in every state that I interact with or have lived in. I've lived in Georgia. I lived there for a year, and when I was there, they were having problems just like this. I was just wondering what the senator feels as a person, as a citizen, first and foremost. When is there?
All right, Donnie.
Thanks, Donnie.
Thanks,
Don't
Donnie.
try to catch her, but we
She's
got
going
a
to
lot of
answer the
questions.
question.
We're going to have her answer off the phone.
Yep, we only
Thanks
have
for
a
the
little
call.
bit of time with her, but thank you, Donnie. Thank you for the call.
All right, go ahead.
Thanks, Donnie. I appreciate that question. You know, law enforcement has to prime the line even more than regular citizens, the average citizen, because they are looked to as those that will come in and
That's correct.
and you know, calm things down for us. Well, a lot of times that's not what's happening. There have been times when I've had to call the police to my home.
And let me correct you real quick, or not correct you, but let me throw this in. If I'm correct, and talk about Judd, this is a little like smirk and a little pat on her back she could give. If I remember right, the officer that gave you hell was one of the ones later arrested.
That's correct.
For the tractor thief.
Yeah, we
right?
talked-
It was
talked.
Watts or Guidry.
It was once.
See, isn't that funny?
All right, well,
Isn't that, no pun intended, but the pot calling the kettle black?
Well, it really
you know what
was
I mean?
bad, but I want to answer his question.
sorry.
I think that what we've got is a culture within law enforcement now. It's like a brotherhood.
Exactly.
And
Precinct 3, that's what I think's happening.
It is, and if anybody knows about it, I do. I became the
So why didn't you
the
step
face.
up to that when you were in office?
Well,
I mean, why didn't you be the one that comes out?
Okay, let me answer in stages here because I get
I
off
know, I
point.
just want to get that out. That's a
I
good-
appreciate you. I appreciate your energy.
Okay.
They certainly have to be held to a higher standard.
Right.
And that is not always happening. Now you've got two things wrong. You've got men that are putting their lives on the line, and their pay is minuscule. Here, I don't know how much they make in other states.
Right.
And also, I think the some type of education, more than just going through the police academy.
I agree with that.
I believe,
especially if you just came back from Afghanistan or
absolutely.
Iraq. Exactly.
We're having problems with men that don't, or law enforcement people, not just men, it's women on there as well, that just don't know how. I don't know if they don't know how or if they just don't put the effort forth to build the connection with the community.
Right.
It's a joint effort.
Right.
The community has to work with the police, with law enforcement, and law enforcement has to work with the community.
Right.
You can't just walk in there, like you were saying yesterday, with all of this swagger and, you know, intimidating people.
Yeah.
So, you know, the accountability piece, that's where the chief comes in.
Right.
If the chief is not running a tight ship, if there's all kinds of misbehavior going on, then guess what?
Right.
Those guys have badges and guns.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've had the police walk up on me. I mean, I've had some really bad experiences. And this was as city council president.
Right.
So I knew the situation was bad because if they're doing it to me and I have direct access to their boss and to their boss's boss, what's happening to the little people?
Right.
So that's why I asked, why didn't you do something then?
Well,
if they were hassling you during your city council president term, you had that power.
I mean, she
that's
probably
basically
just
what I'm doing now. I went yesterday, and I'm starting to research Precinct 3, and I've got 2 files. I'm randomly picking 2 officers every couple of weeks from Precinct 3 list, and I'm gonna randomly pick them, and I'm gonna get them, and I'm gonna announce what their record is on here in front of City Council. That being said, I'm supposed to pick up the first 2 today. You know, very limited fee.
Okay, before we
Why-
go
why-
anywhere, we
I
got to
just
take a
wanna
break.
get her
We got to take a.
I know, but
hear
I
me
know.
out, Anthony.
But-
We need
well,
to
let her-
take some
let her
time to
break.
break.
Let her
here.
break on this thought, and then she can come back and think
Please.
about it.
Okay.
I just want to know again, why when you were there did you not do that stuff? And we'll be back.
Okay.
Exactly. Think about that question. On the next segment, we're going to have Derek give some questions.
Yes, I have a few myself. It's 10:03 a.m. It's 42 degrees outside in Macon, Georgia, with a high of 66 and a low of 39. You're watching The Morning Roast.
Thank you.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
To our third hour of The Morning Roast, live from Vaughn Live TV.
Throwback Thursday.
Yes.
Who do we have here, Derek? Who's sitting there, this gorgeous woman?
Yes, the lovely former State Senator Miriam Harris
Yes.
is our guest today.
And former city council.
And so
City
far,
Council
so good,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah,
And that's
we think so.
according to her.
Yes, it's 40. Wow, it's actually getting warmer. 48 degrees outside in Macon, Georgia.
Supposed to be 70s this weekend. Look at that.
It's gonna be
72.
High
gorgeous, baby.
66 and a low of 39 degrees.
Well, I love the city on First Friday.
Yeah.
After that, I don't know what happens. And that's a question I want to ask you. If you take a look at downtown Macon, gorgeous, beautiful, awesome buildings, great architecture. Nobody in those buildings. The other question that I have for you is, why as a city do we continue living off the dead? We have Otis Redding, which is great, but he's dead. We have the Allman Brothers, great music, but they're dead.
Some are.
Few of them.
Some.
Right. And so, yeah, some are, you're right.
Right.
But my question to you, Miriam, is within the line of the movie industry, maybe I should have left that to Derek.
Uh-huh.
But and Derek's gonna answer the question.
I'll do that later.
I'm gonna yield myself over to Derek, and so's Anthony, because he hasn't said much
That's
Okay.
that's the hint for
in
me
the
to
last
shut up.
hour.
That's
In
there
other
to tell
words-
me, and shut up and let Derek speak.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
But the question is, how do you think that we can fill up those buildings downtown? I mean, really. I mean, it's been years that those buildings are empty. Why can't we have people living there? What's going on?
Well, I think that's like $100,000 question. Now there are some cities where they're bringing in big anchors like DSW, Gap, Dillard's, bringing in stores that attract the youth because they're the ones that are spending a lot of the money,
Yeah.
a lot of their parents' money, and
Right.
sometimes a lot of their own money, you know. But they do spend a lot of money. I think that's one thing that it would take to kind of draw people back downtown.
Right.
But to tell you the truth, I don't see it as half empty as other people do.
Right.
I
More
really
like
don't.
half full?
She's
well,
the optimist.
It's a half. No,
The glass is half full.
no, it's a half a glass of water. It's
That's-
really,
Oh, okay.
it's really
I
what
like
it
that.
is.
Okay.
Okay, it's just
She's a realist.
it's a half a glass of water,
Right.
and we can either take it and throw it out, or we can drink it and get more life, and we can get more health. I
It's a
think
good
that
metaphor.
yeah,
I'm a Steve.
Macon is really is I think things are looking up for us. I think with the passing of the consolidation bill.
I do in a way, but real quick. But then it's like I tell these guys, it's always a step forward and 2 steps back.
Right.
Right.
Because they make the move, and then stuff like with the police force happens.
Right, we have
it steps
42.
in, and then you have these policemen that are getting fired and resigning left and right, which basically tells me that this has been going on forever. That's one reason I'm fighting this so hard, because I know consolidation's coming. They're going to disband them, and I don't want them to get away with murder.
Yeah.
Is my mindset.
I understand.
If they've been doing this for 20 plus, 30 plus, 40 plus years in this city and got away with it this whole time, as a whole, they got away with it, and now the chickens are coming home to roost, so to speak, then I think that's about time, and maybe that's why, in a weird kind of otherworldly way, maybe that's why this Sammy Davis Jr. shooting happened. For this to come out, for the cops to be put under the microscope.
Right. Well,
Matt, oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
Well, I'm glad you talked about consolidation, because there was one of the chatters. Brian said, "Are there any interesting inside developments that the viewers would like to know about it? How's it going? How's the transition of that going?" Consolidation?
Okay, it's a great question. It's going well.
Okay.
We are certainly
Right on schedule before.
well. We're trying to stay on schedule.
Okay, on schedule. Okay.
We've hired quite a few experts to help us. We knew that this would not be a very simple process, but that it was going to be rather complicated. So the task force is meeting. We've got various committees, technologies, facilities, finance, human resources, laws, and it may be a couple of more that I've missed. But all of the committees are tackling the various aspects of merging the two governments is one way of explaining it, but it's not really the essence of what is going on. And I think people really need to grasp that we're not just trying to merge two governments. We're trying to create a new government. And that is what is so important. The current system that we have, I felt, and that was one of the reasons why I was able to sign off on the consolidation bill, was that the current system is broken. We've got 15 council members, a mayor, 5 commissioners. That's 21 elected officials. That makes it hard for industry to even look at Macon when they want to do business. So consolidation.
So there's too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak.
That's a pretty good analogy. Or it could be that it doesn't. You know how they say how many people does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Right.
It's like it's somewhat of that concept. It's like it doesn't take that many.
Right.
Especially with the numbers that we have. We're no different than any other city, county. We're not, worse off.
Considering since Atlanta has fewer city council members compared to Macon, right?
I'm not sure about that.
Oh.
So you're going to get this, of course, too. Let me go. Crash Test Dummy says you could sure do a big tap dance here. Of course, that's what the people say always about politicians. Lady sure can tap dance around the questions. What do you think when you hear that from people? What do you?
Well,
I mean, do you like that? I'm not saying you like that term, but
it's easy to say that from sitting
at your computer. Right, sitting at your computer and watching.
Sitting from where they are, as a politician, you don't want to offend people and put people off. It's not.
You
so
feel
much
like you're always walking on broken glass, basically. You always feel like you're walking on eggshells.
It's a tightrope.
Yeah.
It is. It's a balancing act.
Yeah. So she is kind of tap dancing. She's balancing.
Yeah, how about that?
Who said it?
Right.
It was
Crash
Test Dummy said that.
That's okay.
We have that. That's part of it.
I don't really mind answering the questions. We keep going back and forth on the
police thing.
on the Sammy Davis issue.
Yeah. Let me get that. I'm sorry about the interruption.
Well, before we go, Brian, that's not true. First of all, you're saying hopefully consolidation will push Elaine Lucas out. I'm sure Irv will object. I don't object to Elaine Lucas being out. I don't know where you got that idea.
We just think that she might stay in. Our thing was that we're not supporting her. We just say that it wouldn't surprise us if she was one of the ones that kept her job. That's all we've said on here.
Oh, well, she's going to keep her job because she's going to figure out a way.
Brian's confusing that, thinking we support her. We don't support her. We just honestly think she might be one of the ones that keeps her position, which is going to go against what everybody wanted when they said let's consolidate, because the main idea was to get rid of all these people they didn't like in the office.
Well, Brian's a big fan of yours. I think she's done pretty well in answering the questions.
Well, Brian's a good guy. He's pretty well versed on everything.
Yeah,
he keeps up
very
with
intelligent.
So go back. Let her go back now. She was about to answer the police issue.
Has he asked a question?
He did. We can't give her like 50 questions and expect her to go back and answer the ones she didn't answer.
Right. But I just wanted Derek to
well, he will.
ask questions regarding
he asked
the issues that he has.
When you were getting coffee, he asked.
Well, funny.
Okay.
But I wanted to see her reply. She was about to say it about the police. She offered to say something, and then we jumped in again.
A lot of times, things are done behind the scene. You don't, when I was on city council, when I was city council president, there's a very fine line in the legislative branch, which is city council, and the executive branch, which is the mayor's office.
And the judicial branch, probably too.
Absolutely.
The judicial part,
we didn't really deal with that a whole lot. But there were days when it was it would have been very easy for me to cross the line and try to do the mayor's job.
Right.
But the people didn't elect me to be the mayor.
Right.
That's his job.
Right.
It's his job to get out there and take the leadership.
Right.
Now, when he fails, it's up to the people to either reprimand him, do whatever.
Right.
I mean, and I think he's
Make him aware.
I think he is tough enough, and I think he's thick-skinned enough to know when he is taking valid criticism.
Right.
But at the same time, when he has done well, he should be commended for it. And I think so. I mean, it's like that. If an organization is doing well, then doesn't the head take credit for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I disagree with the organization doing well. I don't think really these past five or so years that he's been mayor that this city's really made any big steps, to be honest.
Right.
That's
And even
my
Newtown
opinion about it.
Macon, which
I
is
just
a
don't
wonderful
think it's done
organization.
And I'm not a Jack Ellis fan either, don't get me wrong. I think Jack Ellis did leave some good things behind. He did do some good things that I agreed with, but as a whole, I think he was a detriment to this city.
Yeah.
And we don't need him either.
He destroyed the trust.
But I mean, he had good ideas. I agree, because he concentrated on the music history of the city, which I always said should be concentrated on. We don't need a cherry blossom festival. We need something that really celebrates our city, which is the art and the music. Cherry Blossom's fairly new. That was brought in the early '80s. And the thing about it, which is ridiculous to me, is that it was brought by this woman, Carolyn Creighton. Guess what, people? She's not even from here. That's what kills me about it. Is someone not from here brought a festival here, and we make a big deal of it, and it's not even anything that this city should be really celebrating. We should be concentrating on our music,
Movies.
history, stuff that really matters here, that's been here forever. And I'm talking about way before Little Richard even. The history we've had with music and art here
And
before this.
Anthony, I think you're spot on. But why can't we do both? Why can't we do more?
I agree.
And to tell you the truth now, and I have met Miss Creighton before.
Right.
I think that the Cherry Blossom Festival is fairly successful. I think that it's grown.
Give or take a few years. They had their downfall.
They've had their down years, exactly.
And certainly
but
this year.
it was because William Ficklin brought the cherry trees
He planted
to
it.
Macon.
And then she came
And
with
then,
the festival idea.
and then it was
Right.
okay. Let's have something to celebrate, and so I guess they found it on the cherry tree.
Blossom. No pun
On the
intended.
cherry blossom.
Right.
So it's not to take away from Macon to have a cherry blossom festival. It's just
it should be less.
another reason to have a party.
But it should be less. Miriam, I think it should flip around. I think that the Cherry Blossom Festival should be a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you make the music festival the 9-10 day
Right.
event. That's what you should do. You celebrate the music, the history. You put your money into bringing big acts here, like Elton John. Like these big acts they've brought here lately, or used to bring here. That's what you concentrate on. You bring those big acts here, you're going to bring in the out-of-towners to see those big acts.
Yeah.
You're going to bring in the tourist money. No one wants to come see trees that aren't blooming at the right time of the year when they have a festival.
Well,
I mean, our trees were dead all over town, and it was the cold
It was,
weather.
it was almost a metaphor.
Okay, all right.
It was.
I think this is where we have to really get on track. Macon is not doing as bad. Things can always get worse.
Of course. Of
Okay,
course.
all right.
Of course. Yeah.
You take Detroit.
We could be
economic
Detroit.
state.
Yes.
They were selling houses for $5,000,
Right.
and they weren't shanty shacks.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's where you have to bring in the balance. With it's not just a what were you all saying? A half a glass of water.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
No. The quota, if she doesn't want she doesn't want a glass of water. He's hearing Mary.
You know,
he's just ready to be the gopher boy so badly that he thought she wanted water.
Yes.
Type of thing. We
optimist
really,
pessimist
we,
thing.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Because I love Macon. I really do.
Are you from there, by the way?
I'm from
You are.
Macon.
Where'd you go to school, if you don't mind me asking?
I went to Southwest.
All right.
All
You
right.
went- you
That
went.
was Southwest.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Is this wrong to ask a lady what year she graduated?
I don't mind.
I can find your age out. What year did you
I'm
graduate?
52.
What? Are you? No way.
Yeah,
You look
I
young.
graduated in '78.
I thought you were about my age.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
We're 40. He's 44. I'm
I just
43.
Okay, yeah.
I thought you were close to my age. Wow,
I'm
she
the-
looks great
I'm
for
the
52.
old person in the group.
No.
She looks
Huh,
great
guys.
for 52.
Well, thank
She's
you.
a year
Thank
older
you.
than you are.
Oh,
and
that's
she
right.
Looks, she looks way
She,
better than you. Way better than you.
Okay,
she
well,
also has a half
okay.
5 bouts of
Okay.
pneumonia.
That's true. Go ahead.
Okay.
Wow,
I
52.
think
I
that
didn't know that. I
there
thought you
are
were like 46.
so.
She would have looked good anyway.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead.
thank you guys. We have to really get positive about the things that are positive about Macon.
Yeah.
You know, the Cherry Blossom Festival. Do I participate in it a lot?
I hate to
not
sound
really.
off this way, but the Cherry Blossom Festival is for like old ladies to me, and the young aren't going to respond to that because they think that's their mother's festival, their grandmother's festival, or some Japanese people that walk in here as
That's
festival.
exactly my case, Urban. Is they started something that they knew was going to celebrate the older, and it's not. And I'm sad to say, this is the truth. It's not really. It's not for. As a whole, it's not for older black women. It started.
Right.
It started for older white women. That's
Exactly.
my belief. Which is another reason why it's so
It's
outdated
true.
and irrelevant. It's so. No, it's such
And they
a,
all got
it's
white
such
hair,
It's such
dancing.
an irrelevant festival,
Come
Miriam.
on, guys.
I
Come
mean,
on.
we can be.
Oh,
we
okay,
can
all
love
right,
it, but
all
let's
right.
think.
Okay,
serious.
whoa.
Let it.
Is it bringing in revenue?
Not this year. You can't tell me it did. I guarantee this year
Okay.
it was a bomb.
All right.
It had to have been
all
a
right,
bomb
okay,
this year.
now Elton John came to town.
That was good.
Okay,
But
during,
that was separate.
during, that's right. But he
Right.
was here during the Cherry
Right.
Blossom Festival, which
Right.
I thought was really smart.
That was.
Because Maconites do not buy tickets
That was
until
a good
last
move.
day.
That was a
okay?
good move to have
So
them there.
okay, all right.
But you see where I'm going with it?
Did they
It
make
took-
money?
It took the music to do it. That's my point.
That's
we need
right.
a music festival.
And you know what? I've been thinking here for
Right.
a long time now that we need to have some type of event that is more inclusive. I agree.
Okay.
And I think that that's important for us. And maybe the music aspect is where we need to go with this.
Right.
Well, how about this? How about having the Cherry Blossom Festival? I guess with the lack of other meaning, a description. How about make it a quote unquote a gateway celebration, which would be a way to celebrate not just the trees, but as well as the arts and the music as well.
The music, the
Well,
film industry.
film
There's a
industry.
history of that making people don't
Well,
know about.
Even if it's Japanese music,
No.
anything that has to do.
Well, no, they try to. It's just my point. Urban.
No,
Derek said it.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, I think we're big enough for two. I really do. I mean, now we'd have to raise the funds for it because the city and the county just aren't going to have all of the funds to support these various events. And we have often cried about supporting the Cherry Blossom, the money that has to go into it.
Right.
But if you look at their budget, there can be some changes made there. They have done studies and surveys on Atlantans that live more on the south side and coming on down through Henry County and like
Right.
that. And the survey was on if there was a concert with the same person in Macon or in Atlanta, where would they rather travel?
Atlanta.
No,
No?
really. They would rather
So
come
why
to
aren't
Macon.
they? So why aren't they using that when they try to gather these acts? Why aren't they presenting that statistic to these managers and agents of these big bands? Because
Well,
it doesn't really show that that's happening.
I don't know that they aren't. Now we've had things I think are getting better. The needle is starting to tick for Macon.
Right.
You know,
In some ways, right.
in
It
some
is.
ways it is. But this is one thing I do want to address. You guys are very tough on the mayor. And this is someone that I've worked alongside for quite some time, while I was city council president. When he took office in 2007, there was a lot going on.
Right.
You know, Mr. Ellis had just
A lot of
left.
negative.
It was a lot of negative going on, and there was a lot to try and repair and build upon. Mr. Ellis had just left office. We had a few $1 million worth of deficit there.
Right.
And then 2008 hit,
Right.
where you're talking about the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. Now, we already were behind the 8 ball because we had a deficit.
Right.
Then we get hit with a double whammy of the economy
Yeah.
crashing.
Right.
The city should have gone belly up.
Well, look, it could still be a city, I guess.
It should have turned into Detroit. But we didn't. Not once has he had to borrow payroll. Not once. We have improved our credit rating. There have just been quite a few things on the financial, on the economic end, where the mayor has done a very good job.
And we'll look all that stuff up,
and
Dave, too, to verify what you said.
I think that he needs to be commended for that. That is really where your focus has to be, just as much as how he deals socially. Now, I'm right there with you. This man has lost his life forever. He's gone.
Right.
His family will never see him
Right.
again on this side.
Right.
That is devastating.
Right.
And I don't always talk about what I do. It may look like, oh, she doesn't say anything. Nobody knows what I do.
Right.
Nobody knows.
Right.
I have mayor's number.
Right.
I
And I agree, you don't have to always be in front of a camera to show that you're
no.
working on something.
And I don't always have to announce to the public what I'm doing.
Right.
It is
Right.
at some point somebody's going to say, no, this person helped me.
Right.
Right.
Your work is supposed to speak for you. You don't do it for the glory's sake, like we have so many politicians in making it like that.
Right.
You know, the minute
And
the
I'm
camera-
sure if you ask the
That's
question,
part-
you'll answer it.
But that's part of the job. To me, that comes with the job. You have to keep yourself open to the public.
Yeah,
You
but she
can't go, I'm
doesn't.
working
She's not a
behind the
senator
scenes.
anymore.
No, I'm not saying for her in general. I'm giving the reasoning behind just her saying that there should be the politician that does it underneath, that doesn't do it out in the open. But I kind of disagree with that, Miriam, because I think that part of their job description is they have to make themselves presentable to their
Right.
public. If they don't, it comes across like A, they don't care, B, they're not doing anything about it,
C,
or
they don't care.
or C, they're just scared. And that's what you don't want in a leader.
They're scared
You don't
to
want
rock
a
the
scared
boat.
person. You don't want someone that's hiding behind something. And that's exactly the way it comes across with this police force and the situation with the mayor, the shooting.
Well, Uric Wildcat says the mayor was warned before the shooting of Sammy Davis, warned in October about 2 problem officers,
Right.
and Sutton was one of them. So
And you're actually referring to the guy who came to the town hall meeting on the 16th of March. I don't know if you went to that or heard about that one. There was a town hall meeting and everybody got up and spoke. I couldn't make it. I was working in Atlanta that weekend. But basically, a lot of people went, and then one particular gentleman went up to the podium and he held up a piece of paper, his Sutton's record, and said, I showed the mayor this record, whatever, back in October of 2012, and told him about this officer and said, you need to look into this guy. And the mayor did nothing about it.
No, actually, they gave him an award a week before he
they
shot him.
given Sutton like the Merit Officer Award of the month or year or something. And it's just ridiculous
Well, you know
when
what?
that comes out.
It's no way to defend that.
No, it's
And when
exactly.
you look
Yeah.
at how many,
I'm glad you said that.
it is. It's no way to defend it.
Right.
I mean, I can't sit
Right.
here and just say, well, let's
poor
just
man.
let's
He
just
was
wring
busy.
our
Right.
hands
Right.
and pray for
Right.
everybody. No, when you've got an officer that has that many complaints,
Right.
He
And
gets an
reprimands.
award.
And
He's got about
reprimands.
8 to 10 reprimands on top
And
of
he
it.
gets a
the chief
reward. I
doesn't
think that's
see
just
fit
sickening.
despite
to
a
do anything
substandard
about it.
record.
Right.
And the mayor doesn't see fit to
Right.
do anything about the chief not
Right.
doing anything about it. Then
Right.
we have a problem.
He said he
Exactly.
does
We have
not
a
get caught up in such tedious affairs, and he
That
does
was
this
his
with his
quote.
hands.
Yeah. And that's why, and again, you're a different person. You said at the beginning of this interview that you're not someone to dig up the dirt. You're not one to play the
Right.
demonic politics. You're not one to play the backstabbing politics.
Mm-hmm.
But see, if I was you, and it wouldn't have been playing a bad game of politics, you would have been, you're right. If I was you, the minute that officer came out that stole that tractor, and it was the same one that gave you a hard time, I would have said something wouldn't have to be a whole big dissertation.
Anthony,
but I would have
remember-
got in front of the public and used the cameras, and I don't think this is bad for you to have done that. And I would have said, look, there's proof that there's police officers that are not behaving correctly. You said you knew about it during city council years. And look, one of them happens to be the one that wanted to harass me over my dogs when there's blatantly a no tether law in this city, so you weren't doing anything wrong. That's why I sided with you from the beginning, was because you're not supposed to tie your dog up outside.
Co-
You get a ticket.
You
for
got
that.
a ticket for that.
The dog's allowed to be outside off of something in your yard. And I thought you should have called that out, and you should have gone to the mayor and
She
said,
still
"Look,
could.
look, Mayor, here's another case of some more problematic officers that you did nothing about, and Chief Burns did nothing about, and Deputy Chief Carswell did nothing about."
Well,
I think
mean,
I'm sorry, go
when
ahead.
that whole thing was going on with the dog,
Right.
I knew that the public was watching to see if she's
Your
going to get
reaction.
off with it
Right.
because she's city council president.
Right.
So it was okay. Let the process roll on.
Right.
Because I don't want anyone to think that I think I'm above the law.
Right.
And there was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of misinformation being put out.
Right.
The media was going haywire
Over a
with
dog,
it.
folks.
I mean, you would have thought I had killed someone.
Oh, I know.
Seriously,
know.
I mean, when
I followed it. I
when
followed it in the news.
When
know what
I
happened.
when I got to City Hall that day because I had to go before the judge, the reporters were chasing me, running after me with cell phones, taking pictures.
Ugh.
This was all over
a dog.
No, a rogue postal worker.
Yes.
Right.
This post woman was very antagonistic.
Right.
Your mom probably has had some dealings with her.
Right.
I was sitting on my porch one day and I was talking on the phone, and this was after the incident with the dog. She continued to withhold my mail.
Oh wow.
One
Is she
day,
still working for the postal service?
I think she is.
Is she?
One day
Okay,
she
move her.
came to my house. I was sitting on the front porch.
Right.
She took my mail, and I have a mail box.
Right.
She took my mail and threw it on my front step and
Wow.
just looked at me.
Wow.
Now that tampering with people's mail. That's that's
a federal
that's
And you didn't
offense.
report her?
I had no one to report her to.
Oh, I would have been down at the post office screaming my head off.
I couldn't get to the postmaster, and I was city council president.
See, so you're back in what we have the problem with calling our local politicians.
That's
we
right.
call, they don't return the calls.
Well,
So you've had the same thing with the postmaster.
that's right.
Wow.
Had the same thing, and it was like this thing was spinning into this great
But you
big
should have
ball of
announced that
confusion.
to your public.
Well,
That's
I'll
my
tell
point.
you.
You should have gone in front of a camera. And it wouldn't mean, Miriam, that you're being egotistical or vain or that you want to have your name in the news.
And it's not like
You
you're
would have
being a
been- It would have
crybaby
been the right
about
thing
it.
that you to go, look, I want to talk about this and I'm going to address it, call a couple of stations up and say, look, this is what happened. This woman has thrown my mail. This blah 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 blah. I'm basically being scapegoated or whatever you want to say.
Well, harassed.
I don't know
And-
what
and
I don't
you
know
should
what
have
her
done
deal
that,
was.
Mary.
Well,
you should. You
no,
can't sit back when people. You got to write.
I get it,
laws.
Anthony. You want me to kind of come off the perch some. I
do.
understand that.
There's nothing wrong
I
with
do.
that.
No, it isn't.
People
anything
like
wrong
a
with
tough
it.
woman. They like a tough leader. They do. They do.
Well,
They do,
yeah.
but I have to have some contrast there, because we've got an example of a tough woman, and guess what? It's not working.
You're talking about the Lucas lady.
Well,
Okay.
you said it. She didn't.
I know. I
Yeah.
just want
But
to say,
I
Lauren,
will
It's
say
not
this.
working. It's
LA
not working. It's
But
not
you're
working
right,
for
you're
our
right. There should-
daughters.
you're right, you're right.
It's not working
You're
for
right.
other women
You're right.
in
There
this,
should
in
be
this
there
county.
should be a half and half. I'm all about half and half,
Yeah,
positive
yeah,
negative. There should be a tough woman with a feminine side. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Basically, be
I agree
more
with that.
assertive than
But-
so far.
But
aggressive.
when you're
Be-
too,
be
but
more
when you're a leader,
effective.
but when you're a leader and you're too much of a doormat, so to speak, and you don't have any toughness. And I'm not
Well,
saying
she's
you
not
are.
a doormat.
No, I'm not saying she is. I'm saying in general that
That's
women
how-
leaders, if women leaders are not a little bit tough,
Yeah.
then nothing gets done.
Well,
She's
I-
tough.
You have to have both.
Right. Well, I
You
think
have to have both.
I think when it's
It
time
can be
for me
overdone,
to
you're
do
right.
that, and if you, for me, it is this: there are a lot of eyes on us.
Yeah.
There are a lot of young women
Right.
that are watching to see
Right.
what's next. What will this
What's a
person
good
do?
female version that I can?
Pattern after,
Yeah.
maybe.
Idolize. Look up to.
When I am with my colleagues, they know. Yeah, don't get it twisted.
Right.
Don't get it confused.
Right.
Go the wrong way, and I'm here to correct it.
Right.
Right.
As my opinion may dictate.
Right.
On city council, that was tough.
That must have been
That was-
so tough for
It was
you
very
leading
tough
that.
because I'm coming out of just domestic life, just housewife for 10, 15 years or so, had just gotten into real estate and gotten into the business world.
Uh-huh.
Not a lot of political background at that time.
Yeah.
And I was really in the learning curve.
Yeah.
And I was getting opposed from so many different sides. And then the next thing I know, the next year, I'm city council president. I got to learn Robert's rules. I got to learn council rules.
Unbelievable.
I got to learn, who I can trust.
What a
who I can't trust.
whirlwind, folks.
But you knew that going into it, right?
I
mean,
well,
or no, really? Did you not research enough before you
It was-
ran? Before you decided to run?
Anthony, it's a long story, but I'll try to make it real short.
We got time. Unless you got
My dad, of course, is on the water authority.
Right. That's the other Lucas.
James.
That's not related.
Right.
We want to say he's not related to
No.
David Lucas and Elaine.
Nowhere near.
Yes.
Right.
No, we're not related.
Okay.
My dad and I would often talk politics, and this maybe will clear up some of the North making threw me into politics. That's not true. They didn't throw me into politics.
Right.
My dad and I would often talk politics, and we agreed on a lot of issues. And then one day he says to me, "Honey, why don't you think about running for city council?" And I told him, "Dad, I don't think I would like being out in the public eye like that."
Mhm.
Right.
And he said, "No, I think you'd be good at it, and I think that you could really serve your constituents well."
Yeah.
So after 3 times of asking me that, and I'm looking at my dad, and he's in his 80s at the time, I went home and I said, I gotta answer this because he keeps asking.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about it, and I said, it'd be my misfortune if someone to happen to him, he were to die, and I didn't honor his request. So I said, okay. I went back to him and I said, "Dad, all right, let's run, let's go." And at the time, Charles Dudley was on city council. And he had vacated his seat because the mayor had appointed him to another seat. So that's how I got into politics. But I thought I was going to lose. It was a 5-way race. And
you're talking about the city council
this
run,
was on the
not,
city council
not the
run.
first, not the state senate,
Right.
26 run. Okay.
The city council run.
Right.
It was a 5-way race, and I was clearly the dark horse.
Right.
Nobody knew me. I didn't
Right.
have any political affiliations except for my dad.
They were
And my
all
dad
in there.
doesn't hang out. So anyway, as fate would have it, it turned, and I won the race.
Right.
And then after I got down there, I was like, wow, these people are like so not attuned to
What you thought?
what I was thinking about. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to get back out. I ran, we won, he should be satisfied, let's move on. And then I was sitting in a forum one day, and God spoke to me, and he said, "You know what? You're no better than the rest of them, because you're fleeing from what you see is a tremendous problem." So then I ran for the citywide seat and won that one, and got on as president.
We've got last 15 minutes here.
got
I
about
want to give
20.
you the we'll go 20. I want to be able to give you an opportunity.
All right.
Something that you and I talked about. You said, I have a lot of things I kind of want to get off, my chest. And now's the time
Okay.
to get that out. How you feel, what it is that you want to say. Now that you have the opportunity, you're not going to have the press all over you saying that you said this and you said that and everybody backstabbing you. Now that you have the opportunity, this is going on video.
Yes.
So remember, it's going to be out there. So I'm not trying to forewarn you. I'm just saying your word's going to get out. So now's your opportunity.
To talk about.
Well,
Let me
let's
throw this. This will help her. No, because this is something we do with all our guests, Irvin.
Okay.
Just remember, we have this question to all our guests every time they've come on here. And most people have answered.
Oh, that's right. The
so
3 questions.
So include this into your
Okay,
answer.
here's your 3
We
questions.
always ask.
Oh,
we
okay,
ask
great.
Jack
Here's your
Ellis
3
this,
questions.
We ask, and of
Okay.
course,
Bobby
some
Dillon.
people didn't answer. Some people did the tap
Yeah, they
dance.
did the tap
We don't
dance.
want tap
I'll
dance.
try not to tap dance.
The question is, what 3 people in this city do you think are
Holding it back.
holding it back, and are detrimental? And we mean, and it can be anybody. It doesn't. You can say me and Irvin if you think are 2 of them. But we mainly want, what 3 people do you think? And most of the time people say other politicians, they name other politicians or community leaders. But what 3 people do you think are holding this city back?
Number 2, what 3 people do you say are good
Right.
players in the city?
Other than yourself. You
Other
can't
than
count
yourself. And finally, what would you do differently today
Right.
if you were...
What's the regret you have? What did you do?
Oh,
wrong?
that was
Yeah.
what regret and what would you do different?
Right.
I guess from either position, whether it was
Yeah.
from a city council president
Or
or
a
a
state
state senator.
And-
By the way, we completely ignored our chat.
No, we're coming back to him. I've been following. Gamer Girl wants to know: do you guys have volunteer groups in your city to help bring pride to the community to make it better? Kind of, we do. Gamer
Kinda.
Girl.
I guess it would be Newtown.
They come and go. Well, they're not volunteer.
Oh.
Newtown makes money.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do have some volunteer groups that try to do stuff, but they always kind of come and go. They come
Yeah.
and they last about a month or two, then they disappear.
And they
you
go.
know, and then you don't see them again. I don't know. I mean,
Okay, go.
Okay.
Your questions,
All right,
basically.
my questions. That's I'm not a person that throws people under the bus,
I know.
regardless as to
And it can be
what
respectful.
what my
Right.
opinion of them is. That's just what it is.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't make it the truth. It makes it just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Right.
And I'm
Which probably is true.
Which is what the show's all about. A lot of it, free speech, opinions,
Yeah,
people's
right,
opinions on
right.
stuff. Right.
And to me, what I'm not going to tap dance. I'm going to be direct and say that I'm not going to name 3 names.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to do that because people are working from their own perspective.
Right.
And I don't know what has shaped them into the character that they are. That makes them
But
feel
they
like,
are holding the city back.
And that's what I say. When we ask this
well,
question, we don't mean for anybody to attack a personal aspect of the person. We're talking about the way they've done the job for what they're hired for. Strictly saying they're not.
And
good
remember,
for
they
this
work for
vision.
you.
And I could guess one of them that you would have said, the one I put in your mouth earlier when you mentioned some female that was a little too assertive.
right.
And I said, you mean Miss Lucas? You said, I didn't say that. I would have guessed that that's probably one of the 3 you think is holding the city back, without you having to name her. But that would be an assumption.
I'll tell you what. I feel like people that have their own agenda
Right.
Right.
and that are working towards their own agenda,
Correct.
and
Are definitely holding it back.
they are holding this city and this county back.
Hostage.
Now, a hostage, exactly. But this is not just a Bibb County thing.
Right.
I mean, now I've been like all of you all have been other places and have seen where this it's almost like it's a stamp all over the state.
Right.
There are people in counties that milk the taxpayer.
Of course.
Okay, they get rich off of
Right.
the contracts.
Right.
All kinds of favors being done for them,
Right.
kickbacks, all such as that. That's what holds us back. Now,
Everybody's
the other-
saying, answer the question, Miriam. Our viewers are like, oh my God, answer the question. Just answer the 3 names.
yeah, no,
Okay.
like out there, with blood dripping from the teeth. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not calling those names of
that's
those
okay.
people.
Yeah.
We can't force
By the
it.
way, I just want to make a point here that it needs to be made. When women are strong, they're called like the B word. And so, just to,
Or worse.
well,
Or worse.
just to, like, in lieu of what we're talking about here, I think Miss Perez, Miriam, you have this thing that you're very soft-spoken and all that, and I think that when you compare yourself to, let's say, a Miss Lucas, you don't want to be like that. What you want to be is more assertive without the aggression. And I can understand that because women, I mean, God knows how much you've been accused of. Well, that's all you need right now.
Well, the thing is, it's mainly about being effective.
Right.
Okay, you can be
Yeah.
assertive all day and still not be effective.
Right.
The bottom line is getting the job done. However you
Can
have
get it
to coalesce with your opponents or with your enemies. The bottom line is pushing this community forward.
Yeah.
And one of the things that another thing that holds our community back is voters that just don't pay attention, that just sit back and either don't go to the polls, don't vet their candidates. It's all over the country. I mean,
Yeah, they just go there and push buttons.
You've got incumbents being elected time after time after time, where in a charter or in the Constitution or wherever, we shouldn't even have to worry about term limits.
Yeah.
The people can decide that.
Yes, that's very true.
So there are a lot of things that will hold a community back.
Yeah.
A lot of negativity. You know what I mean? People love to bash other people, and I'm
See, and that's why I said you could have named me as one of those three, and I wouldn't have been offended. I have tough skin. Because people might think that I'm one, or that we're two of the people that are negative all the time, that are holding the city back. And I appreciate their opinion on that. I don't think I am. I think what we're doing is we're showing them the dark side that needs to be shown because it's been swept under the rug too much.
Everybody has their place in the food chain.
Right. That's correct.
Right.
And it's very important to have agitators.
Right.
It's very important to have people that are going to really put the light on the problems that have very little to lose.
Right.
As a person that runs for office, it's hard to run for office when you are offending people all the time.
And that's why people shouldn't run for office. Just rule yourselves and respect your neighbor.
Well, but then if you don't run for office, guess what? Somebody else is.
You don't. And so
somebody else is.
And that one person in particular is an example of that.
I mean,
she's not going to thank that person.
He just wants you to get to say yes.
Somebody.
You know
No. She's not the only one.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well,
it's a lot of them out there.
If you're not going to name three, at least do this
what
for
else
us.
you want?
Okay. At least if you're not going to name the three, that's fine.
Okay.
Do this. What the city council that you presided over, because it was a little different than it is now.
Yes.
Some are not there anymore. Give us this much. Which of those city council members can you tell us three of those that you had the worst time serving with? Can you answer it that way? When you were the president, which three members on city council were you the most just frustrated with that you felt like sometimes you wanted to wring their proverbial neck?
That's still having her drop.
Well, if she doesn't want to answer,
it's
because
okay.
she's out of that position.
Well,
And
not
some of
only
them might
that,
be out
but
of
she
that
has
position.
to be able to work with these
okay,
people
maybe,
like Alex.
I wouldn't say probably the worst time,
But
but
you know what I mean.
the most challenging.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean you
Gave
hate them
you
as
the
a
most
person.
ob-
It
gave you the most
means you thought they
obstacles.
did nothing for this city. It doesn't mean you hate them as a person, Miriam.
Right.
It means that they did not do the job. It's the same with Rickard. I don't hate Rickard as a guy, an outside father and whatever, and a husband.
Right.
I just think he's a horrible mayor. That's
Okay, here we go.
Well,
Gamer Girl says, "Oh my God, just answer the question."
Right.
Scorpy, answer question 3. Names.
Right.
The Bean, she won't score.
She won't answer.
Wait,
Right.
wait. She's skipping around the question for the remaining 50 minutes. This is what I'm talking about. The perception that you start to give to people is the same perception that the mayor received.
Bingo.
Okay?
Oh.
So, we're not saying to answer the question verbatim, but they're saying answer the question verbatim. Who were the 3 people that really challenged you? Like, I could say right now,
On city council.
on city council,
When you were president.
when you were
Not
president.
now, because
Not now, when you were president, because you haven't worked with them for a couple of years. But like I told Al, I said, Al, because Al said to me, well, I don't want to answer this question because I got to work with these people.
Al Tillman was the guest on there. He wouldn't name us 3.
He wouldn't name the 3.
people either. Now,
But
Ellis was quick to name 3.
Oh,
when Ellis
yeah.
was on the show, he named 3 like that.
yeah.
I mean, some people name them. Kuzno named 3. Like
yeah, Kuzno
Bobby
named 3.
Gale didn't name it.
No.
Bobby Gale skirted. But anyway.
All right.
But-
So it's
Well,
not that we don't
well,
want you to put yourself in a bind, but you're not in office.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the
But I
things
have
that
to
you
run.
talked about.
Yeah. Well, she
you're-
might run again.
Well,
She
she
hasn't-
is going to
hasn't-
run
Oh,
again.
you have announced?
No, I haven't announced.
She hasn't
officially.
announced.
No,
Okay.
I haven't.
Well,
I
you
just
don't-
announced for her.
Anyway, go ahead, Miriam. Let her answer. She might get to 3 people, or she might at least describe them to us. She won't say their names.
You guys are funny. You know, you really.
Well,
but
I
you know,
told you
it's
they were
okay.
gonna be
It's
tough
okay.
questions.
Yeah, well, I know, and I don't mind tough questions.
Right. And it's serious. We joke about it, but it's serious.
The thing about it is this: when you have to work with people,
I know.
people remember
Right.
every negative, bad thing you ever said about them,
Absolutely.
and they hold it against you. I'll tell you right now, I have a frayed relationship with one council member that had an opponent, and I gave his opponent $100.
Wow.
He found out about it, and from that point on, would walk in a room and speak to everybody but me. I mean, how stupid.
Well, that's bad on his part.
It was. I mean,
That's bad.
but I'm just trying to prove a point. when you have to work
Is
with
that
these
member still
people,
on city council?
he's still on city
Okay.
council.
No,
We can guess somebody.
That's terrible.
Well, anyway, let's get
Okay.
to the three that it,
Yes,
on
ma'am.
city council when I was president. I'll have to say that the pro tem, Mr. Timley, was oftentimes hard to work with.
I could see that. I could see that.
And I think that there were just some differences of opinion, or differences on
Ideas for the
method,
city.
right?
Right.
Ideas and
For the city, right.
approach. A second one was let's see. I'm trying to go around the horseshoe. I built a coalition of about 7 or 8 that I pretty much knew
That's not bad.
I could count on to at least discuss.
Was
things.
Nancy White there when you were there?
She was.
And was Lord Benedict there when you were
Lauren was there as well.
there? But the other older white lady was not
She
there.
wasn't.
The one that
No,
sits on the far left.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't. Okay.
Eric Erickson was there when I was there.
Eric Erickson. So how was Eric Erickson? Was he one of the ones you would name, or did you like working with him?
No. Eric and I worked fairly well together.
Right.
Oh,
but
you did work fairly well together.
We did.
Maybe that's why they accuse you of being a Republican.
Yeah.
Well, no.
You ever
they,
thought of that?
No,
Might be.
no, they accused me of being a Republican because they were trying to win.
Right.
This didn't come up
yeah.
until just this
Right.
last time, and they had to polarize the voters, put me in a house Negro type situation.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, where I couldn't be trusted.
Right.
That I was the person that was going to be telling Mr.
Right.
Charlie
Right.
about every time they
Right.
stepped a foot off the plantation. Oh,
Right.
it's classic textbook
Of course.
Willie Lynch.
Of course.
Oh,
Yeah, because maybe
House
it was one
Negro
party.
That's
versus
of
field
course.
Negro.
They say just put D
Okay.
He
behind
says
your
it all
name.
the time.
Yeah.
They say just
Yeah.
put D behind your name here and you'll win.
You
That's
see,
right.
and
Put
this is
R
all.
behind your
And
name,
I've been a Democrat all my life. Every
you-
race
and you
I've ever
still are,
run,
right?
and I'm still a
You've not
Democrat.
switched.
Right.
And
I don't
you
have
are.
an intention of switching.
Right.
Yeah.
My values line up with the Democratic principles.
Correct.
However, getting back to the three.
Yeah, the three. Yeah. Well, you're doing a fine
Okay.
job. We
You're
appreciate
doing
that
fine.
you even named Timley.
Okay,
So that's
the
fine.
pro tem. Well, he and I mean, he would agree with me.
Yeah.
He was difficult to work with at
Yeah.
times. From
Yeah, I don't care for
various
him either. I don't care for
outbursts
him
to
either.
differences on how we should go forward, things that the administration would bring, being always opposed and being this person that wants to put a stick in the spokes.
Right.
No, we need to move. We need motion. We need to be going forward. We need progress. There were. I'm trying to get.
You worked well with
Lonnie-
Schlesinger, I'm sure. You
Worked well with
Withers, the rabbi.
Schlesinger.
You worked well with.
There were times when Mike Cranford and I did not agree.
Right.
But-
He's now gone. Cranford's gone.
Right, but Mike Cranford had a lot of business acumen. He's
Right.
owned a lot of businesses as well as he's an attorney and does fairly well there. Lonnie Miley was always someone that I could not depend on.
Right.
It was he was always going to side with whatever Miss Lucas was up to.
Right.
And then she would be the third one that it was like
Right.
I tried very hard to accommodate her.
Yeah.
There were even times when the committee on committees was determined to really sideline her,
Right.
and I spoke up in her defense.
Wow.
Got her put on the
Did she
appropriations.
appreciate that, or just kind of walked
just,
over it like,
just
oh?
momentarily,
Right.
just momentarily.
Right.
She did say to me, "Well, I heard that you were responsible for me being on the appropriations committee, and I want to thank you for that." And she didn't owe me $100 million for it or 100 million thank yous for it.
Right.
But I was committed to. I'm not going to believe everything I've heard about this person.
Right.
She's going to have to prove it to me.
Right.
It didn't take her long.
Right.
And it really, as much as I tried, you get this brick wall type attitude, and after a while that plays out for me. I'm not gonna chase after
Oh yeah.
anybody's friendship or their support.
Yeah.
You either support me because you believe in what what I'm saying or not.
Okay. Let's move
Andy,
on to the next
Well,
question.
And Mary, can we go like an extra 5-10 minutes to like 10 after 11? Are you fine with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Because we got to be wordsmith, and I want Miriam to pull the number page.
Okay.
Both numbers and have
But
directly-
she's still got 2 more
I
questions.
know. That's
to
what I'm
answer.
saying. I want to have her hold of it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, next question.
One
What
plug,
3
yes.
good players? Well, I actually think you answered that question, didn't you?
He's unplugged.
I'm unplugged.
Go ahead. Answer.
I actually think you answered that question, no?
Well, she's
The
on
3
here.
good
She did
players.
the 3. No, she said the 3 ones she had problems with. She said Tim Lee, Cranford, and Lucas.
Yeah.
Now, which 3?
Are good players.
Well, which 3 did you enjoy the most working? You know,
On council.
yeah. Well, you can maybe go into your Senate years. I mean, and talk about people locally that you worked well with during your state Senate years. Yeah, just 3 that you think are great for this city.
It was just a year, Anthony.
What's that?
It was just a year.
That you were state Senate?
Yeah.
That wasn't a 2-year
That was
term?
a year, because she...
That wasn't a
It
2-year
was
term?
it was a
She
special.
had to take over
it was a
Robert.
special
Oh,
election.
that's right.
Oh, because you had a feeling for someone who passed it.
Right.
That's
he,
right.
He resigned,
I
and
thought
then
you were
so it
2
was a
years.
special
That's
election.
He
All
was
right,
trying
my
to
bad.
run
I
for
did
mayor.
the 2 sessions though. We
My
had a
bad.
special session
Okay.
in August, and then we had another one
Okay.
and had the regular session.
Which is
in-
sad, because she didn't really have enough time. Okay, so what 3 good players?
What 3 good players? Well, when I was
I guess the 3 good players who improved the city.
Or you think are good for
That
it.
are good.
Or
Or
good
work well with you?
Whatever you want to say.
okay, we're going back to on city council or just
Anywhere.
citywide.
Who do you think are 3 people that should remain in a position of leadership when consolidation happens? Put it that way. And you can go into any aspect. You can go into city
And
council.
you're not endorsing
mayor,
them. By the way,
yeah.
she's not
It's not
endorsing
endorsements. Just who do you think
She's
really is good
just
for this
mentioning-
city? Honestly good for it.
No, that is an endorsement.
Okay.
Those are
Oh, it
endorsements.
would be, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
they would be endorsements.
Who are you
I'll tell you.
endorsing?
Well,
Well, I haven't really endorsed anyone just yet. I mean, I've been called about support from one of the candidates, and I'm a good 90% in, and
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
However,
Let's move on to the last
3
question.
good players,
finish.
3 good
All right.
players.
people that have really improved or really have the county's, the city's best interest. There's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
that
I'll
has
do
to
the
be
Jeopardy
done.
thing. I was giving you the Jeopardy thing.
There's a lot of hard work, and for me, guys, it's really about who's really managing our taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, who's giving us the biggest bang for our buck?
Yes.
That's really how I kind of look at.
You think that's the top of the ladder? You think that should come first?
I really
Even before our police department, the way
Really?
they behave. See, I would probably put that being first foremost is get my police department in order.
well, but if you get your economics in order,
Right.
you can get your police in order.
Right. Okay.
Because really,
Fair
what's
enough.
happening, you're hiring guys that just aren't qualified on many levels.
Right.
Okay, but you're hiring them because you need to fill the spots.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not saying that all of our police department is not qualified. That's not true.
Right.
We have a lot of good policemen on the force that are considerate and do their job.
Mm-hmm.
But then you do have some bad apples, and a lot of times that's all it takes is one
Yeah.
or two,
Right.
and then there goes.
They
there
just
goes your-
feel like
there goes your
that
whole
cop
image.
with the swagger. They feel good about having a title and sitting up there and doing nothing.
And at this point, it's been 6. Recently, 6 bad apples.
Yeah, and when you've got those 6
So-
bad apples like that, it really makes it creates a
Right.
bad image for the whole department.
Yeah.
Of
All
course.
of the good work that those men have done, and it's the same
Yeah.
thing, with city council. It was,
Right.
you had a few people that were acting up and showing out and leaking information to the media
Right.
that was supposed to be, confidential and like
Right.
that, and you're like deer in the headlights at times. However, the 3 good players,
Yeah.
people that really promote goodwill.
I don't want to throw names out, but maybe that would be easier.
Well,
What about
I was
Schlesinger?
wanting her to come off her head.
What about Schlesinger?
there.
Good, bad, good player.
The rabbi really tries to relate with the community. He does.
Okay.
And he tries to be accessible.
I never see him talk.
He can talk, and he has he can give you very in-depth answers.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's very well traveled, very well educated, and such.
What about Fickley? Those are my two opponents, by the way.
Oh,
folks.
that's why you're asking about that?
Well, I'm gonna ask those
I
two
was
in
going to
case-
ask you about Ficklin for another reason, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
Henry Ficklin, by the way.
Henry Ficklin.
Without the G at the end. That's a different Ficklin.
And I'm not going to work with them if I win them, so I'm not
Well, let
worried.
her answer. Let her answer. You can promote your cause on here for 3 hours tomorrow.
Reverend Ficklin was my teacher when I was in middle school.
Oh.
So I guess you didn't have a problem with him either as a teacher or as working in
No,
the city.
no, he was always.
And he seemed like a good guy.
He was always
I love
very
him.
He seems like a
respectful.
very good guy.
I like him. That's why this is a hard race, because both guys.
Well,
love.
I like him, man. You know, I like him because he was one of the few leaders there at the first rally
I know.
for Sammy Davis Jr. He was one of only the few of the two from city
And
council
he wrote
that showed
that
up.
a very eloquent letter to
And
the
then of course I
mayor.
gotta like him also because without me asking, he bailed me out of jail.
I know it's a hard
Shout
race.
out.
Yeah, Henry Fix is the one that bailed me out.
More
I was calling my wife to bail me out with our money, and then she calls me back and says, "I called to bail you out, and they said Henry Ficklin was handling it." So,
And
Mr.
you paid him
Ficklin,
back,
hats off
right?
to you. I offered to pay him back. I went to the last city council meeting before it started. I had my money to give it back to him because it is non-refundable, the bond, and I had it wadded up to give it to me in cash, and he goes, "No, I don't."
Oh, was
want
that
keep
you
it."
got arrested at
I'm the
Cherry
one,
Blossom?
I'm the one that I'm the one that went after the mayor.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he heckled
Look
the
at my
mayor.
pink jacket.
I saw you.
That's me.
I saw you. Okay, all right.
Right. That's
Ficklin
why I
bailed me
say.
out. But anyway, back to
Okay.
it. So you like Ficklin, but she did not name him as one of her top three. She just said she likes him, and then
Well,
she,
you all asked me about him. That's why he came
Yeah,
out. I didn't.
Well, he wanted to know about his opponents. That's why Herman.
Yeah, that's what he's doing over
He's
there.
all. He's not asking about the other little young
He's
kid with the
slick.
piercing that's running against him, the Brandon.
Well, we
Carlisle.
already
Oh, yes.
know.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. The
Well,
one that
I
was
wanna
in our
answer.
meeting. No, for
Yeah.
her to answer.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do for her is give her
I know.
away a path so that she can feel comfortable just
understand.
asking answering the
Right.
question.
Right.
Because it's a little tough question. She's
Right.
got to work with these people eventually. What about what is her name? The one that was in our meeting.
The meeting with Suzanne Buchanan.
That's
Justice
correct,
Department?
at the house.
Well, Ficklin was there.
Ficklin
Al
was there.
Tillman was
Al
there.
Tillman was there.
Tom Ellington was there.
Tom Ellington.
The girl, Lauren Benedict, was there.
That's it.
Lauren
That's Lauren Benedict. What do you think of Lauren Benedict? She good to work with?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Good.
And yeah, Lauren's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
As well. And Lauren is very knowledgeable. You know, an attorney.
Okay.
Has a lot of deep-rooted democratic principles. You know, values. She's all about supporting those that need our help and being available to the people too.
Yeah.
I like Lauren. Lauren has community service at heart, and I
That's
believe
cool.
that about her.
Right.
Yeah, she always came across to me. I know her through Terrell Sandifer. So that's kind of how I didn't even know she was on city council.
Oh.
I just knew her as a friend of Terrell, and then of course I found out she's on city council. What do you think of that short black guy that has the glasses and the pink coat on all the time? He dresses all dap. I'm trying to remember his name.
Lewis, you talking about the older black gentleman with the
Yeah.
salt and pepper color hair? I think
Yeah.
He wasn't there when she was president.
No,
He,
when
was
I
Lewis.
vacated my space, that he pretty much walked into that seat.
Yeah.
It was a citywide seat too,
Okay.
and that's something that we, should
Well, you don't care for him, Urban?
Well,
You bring him
he's a
up.
bit of a showboat. But then again, so am I.
I was going to say that's Urban's calling. Urban's calling somebody else a showboat.
But here's the thing: my showboating is more sincere, to be honest. I mean, when I'm shaking your hand, I'm really feeling in. How are you? How are you? He's like. Anyway.
So, Marion, are you just cool with those answers, or are you going to go on your own? Are you fine with Urban feeding the names? I mean,
No, well, I thought he was just trying to survey various council
he
members.
was. I mean, we still want her answer if she's got
Okay.
for the
three
three.
good players.
I think she's thought of long enough about it.
Yeah,
She's her own woman.
I seriously, I think Mayor Rickard has been good for Macon.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah.
After telling me what you said earlier on the show about him.
And that's because I've worked
I'll
alongside
respectfully
him.
disagree, but that's understandable.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yes.
but that's you. But
Right.
Anthony, you're looking at it from like just a human relations type
Right.
of standpoint, when there are other aspects of his job,
Right.
and those other aspects of his job that are very important to our economic growth, to our well-being, to our just good living here in Macon. He's done a pretty good job at that, and it's hard for me not to give credit where credit is due. Now, it's also hard for me to really just come out and just criticize people because I know what it's like.
Have you ever put his feet to the fire?
Oh,
Since
many
you said
times.
You're very close to him and you
many
talk,
times.
Have
Many
you
times.
ever put his feet to the fire in private? Like,
I have said words to the mayor that I would not
Really?
be proud of.
okay.
Heated discussions with the mayor.
Right.
And he takes it like a gentleman.
Right.
He never gets back with me, never screams.
He doesn't get back with you either.
No.
He never got back.
No, I'm not saying he
Right.
doesn't. He doesn't.
Right.
No, these are generally face-to-face,
Right.
times when we disagreed on things, and he listened, and sometimes he would make adjustments, and other times he wouldn't.
Right.
He's just not that person that you're going to push over. So, however,
Go ahead. So the
Okay.
mayor's won?
the mayor is one. I think that we have a good fire chief.
Okay.
Okay. That's
I think that he runs a very tight operation.
Who's this?
Chief Riggins.
The Riggins.
I think Chief Riggins
The
is
chief
very good.
fire chief. You know, we're friends. We got a couple of fireman friends. Irvin and Derek.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Jason Moss. He's a fireman.
this operation goes without scandal.
Right. So far.
So
now
far,
I've had people, and I won't say
And they
how,
do their job.
I'm going to research it. I've had people contact me and ask us to talk about something within the fire department on this show, which is something I'm researching for
Right.
the next few weeks.
well,
Which, if we decide to go with it, if it holds any validity,
Right,
we'll
we have
bring
to
it up.
first
there
figure out
have
whether
been,
it's
been
true.
so many things though
Right.
with the police department,
Oh,
and
of
it's
course.
not,
I
and,
mean,
and
it's-
just
the
now,
police department's horrid.
the public
I
is
mean-
just seeing what is really coming to the surface.
Yeah.
There are other things.
Chickens are coming home to
And
us.
that's why
Just
I'm
have
so
to really
adamant
back.
about being on top of this and not backing down with it, because they want us to back down
Well, when
until consolidation goes through. They do this ban. It's like, oh, we got away with it. We can run off into the sunset.
No, they-
That's the attitude they have about the
they're
police.
very much trying to keep their jobs.
I mean,
so they're not.
yeah.
I don't think they're going to come under the sheriff's department.
Well, we already know Davis is getting rid of people left and right.
This
I
is
heard he
gonna
got
be-
everybody's file from the PD.
This is going to be a
And
new
he
administration.
said he's not going to hire ones that are remotely a
a
problem.
new administration.
Right.
And guess what? Jobs are not so easy to find anymore.
Right.
But
So-
you at least want to go on a good note instead of a bad note. You
Well,
know?
that was my point too. Is that this police department is now going to discontinue with this albatross around its neck. It's going to happen.
And listen,
This
Davis
police
is
department
not going to keep that guy
I'm
on.
not, well, I know that, but I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the MPD. His now forever is going to be remembered by how they're going out. which
Good.
is- I agree. They
Good.
should pay, but the thing about it, they should pay even more so because of all the people that they have through the years done wrong to, the innocent people they've done wrong to. You know, I mean, there's so much stuff's been going on.
Right here.
That's never been dealt
And
with.
me getting thrown in jail for no
Well, you
reason.
know, I'm not just talking about. I'm not talking about for us or us personally. I'm not being.
Let's look at the bloggers.
Yeah, let's talk
Actually,
about
she
Yeah.
just pointed it out.
He said he's so bored.
I'm so bored. I'm tempted
tempted
to
to be-
mute and play one of my YouTube playlists. Go ahead,
Go
Scorpy.
ahead. Three Bears did say this earlier.
I think
Miriam.
this conversation has
Well-
been okay. Let's go up a little bit.
Three Bears said this. She said way earlier, that she liked you and that you reminded her of her old divorce judge.
Yes.
Three Bears said you
Oh.
reminded her of her the judge that handled
Yeah,
her
I
divorce.
like her.
She goes, I like her.
Okay.
So
All right,
anyway,
three
well,
people.
guys, we got to do these shows sometimes. We have guests in occasionally, and when we have an opportunity to have guests on, we have to give them a lot of time.
Not
Unlike
only
other
that,
shows.
Miriam doesn't have all the time in the world, so we have to spend
We appreciate
as
her coming
much
on
as
here.
we can.
If the show bored you guys today, we're sorry. Come back tomorrow. We'll act stupid.
Oh,
again.
you know what it is?
So, yes.
We're supposed to be doing Wordsmith. They
Right.
want me to do
Well, I had
the
two
Daily
things, too.
Bread.
She never answered the last one, but also not even that, Irvin.
Oh.
Not only that, I think two questions have to be asked of her before she leaves.
Okay.
You know what the one has to be? We can't have you two sit next to each other and not ask this question.
Oh Lord.
When you ran against David Lucas and Irvin, Do you believe personally that Irvin was the spoiler that ruined your chances?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
No.
You heard it. She answered it.
No. What I believe is this. A lot of damage had been done while I was working for the people.
Right, you came back and the
by
weeds
him.
were up.
The weeds were up.
Right.
People were believing.
Right.
They were drinking
the Kool-Aid.
Drink-Aid. It wasn't even Kool-Aid. It was Drink-Aid. It was like really watered down.
Right.
It was like people that know me know.
Right.
I don't play about my service.
Right.
Okay. I just
Right.
don't. I don't have time to. I have 8 children.
Right.
That
Wow.
really need me.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're not little babies. I've got 2 in college.
How can you be 52
She's
and look that good
gorgeous,
and have
baby.
8 children?
8
Well,
children.
I did not
and,
know that.
Wait,
Wow.
8
Well,
or 12? I'm sorry.
8.
8, and
Right.
with grandkids.
I have 3 grandchildren.
3
52-year-old.
grandkids.
Wow.
And you
Well,
should
but the
see,
thing-
She
this
looks
is
good.
this is where my heart just melted for this woman.
I didn't know she had that many children and grandkids. I didn't know she had grandkids.
They're all- and they're all gorgeous
let
like
me
her.
say this for the record,
Right.
too.
And
The
here's where my
children-
heart melted.
The children were all with my first husband.
Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't assuming otherwise.
Well, no, when I was running,
One of the things they said about
one
you
of the
was,
things they were saying was that she had 8 children by 8 different men.
Wow.
I wonder who put
That's
that
dirty
out.
Oh, yeah.
DL.
By the way, you're married now.
No, yeah.
You're married now.
I beg your pardon?
Are you married now?
No, I'm not married now.
Okay, single
You hear
only
that?
guy.
Single, Derek. Derek.
There you go, Derek.
You both went to Southwest.
Yeah.
You both went to Southwest.
Actually, I told Derek that earlier.
Gamer
Anyway,
girl was
Okay.
actually pushing that the whole time. She said, Derek.
I
Derek,
want to
ask
make
for a
sure I
phone
get
number."
this point across because it's important for people to know what a great woman she is, really. Because you see the goodness in the kids. And the little granddaughter, your older daughter's daughter,
Yes.
she took one look at me, Derek, and she goes, and she runs up to me and gives me a hug. I'm like, do you know what that feels like? Like this little kid is running up to me and hugging me like, I'm like,
Well, yeah, I know exactly. It's kind of like my little toddler niece Chloe, who comes every time I come by to visit her. She just,
it was the coolest moment.
Our British
And then
guy,
of course I shook the mayor's hand right after that.
our British guy Saibuki says, I got grandkids. Where's my fucking prize? But
Uh,
Saibuki, sorry, buddy, you just don't look near as good as she does.
yeah, really.
All right? You look like you've had about 50
I tell
grandkids.
you
I
what,
know.
shut up.
Saibuki, you look like you've had about 50 grandkids.
The
Sorry,
thing is
buddy.
this, though. No, I don't think that he was the spoiler.
You
I
don't.
think that when he may have prolonged,
He did. He made another election come
yeah,
around. Another
we had
runoff.
to go another. We had to go, and we got a chance to kind of
Clear
regroup
things up a little bit.
and,
Right.
and come back. There were a lot of things at play in that race,
Right.
and I think I learned a lot from that race, and will really be better prepared.
Hopefully
The
they'll
next
serve you well in the next one because the next one's going to be tough. And we're going to make sure that she wins on the next one, no matter
Right.
what.
Really quick, this is my last one with the Irvin. Because I've heard people say this, and I've actually thought of this too. Do you think Sam Hart is only running for mayor because he's in cahoots with Rickard, and he's hoping to pull some of the black votes away from Ellis?
That's great.
So that Rickard gets by Ellis.
Another
Because keep
one.
in mind, Ellis almost beat Rickard last time. They're probably scared in the Rickard camp that Ellis is going to beat him and get that extra 2% that he needed to beat him. Is Sam Hart only in this race because he's trying to help his buddy Rickard, Mayor Rickard, by pulling black votes away from Ellis?
Well, I wouldn't use the
I
word
have a feeling
only.
he is,
I
my
wouldn't use the
opinion.
word only so that Ricky could win. I would say that they're kind of tag teaming.
I think that's what I think they're doing. And
That-
I've had other people say
I
this
think
too.
they're tag
I also
teaming.
agree with this. What do you think? Being a Rickard supporter, what do you think?
No, I don't think that's why Chairman Hart is getting into the race. I think that he has enjoyed serving as
Right.
chairman, and I think that he probably wants to extend his service,
Right.
which is commendable. However, I think the way that you're looking at it, I see it differently. I think
Okay.
that Hart would take more votes from Ellis. No, from Rickard. From Rickard.
And how do you feel about that? Because first of all, do you like Chairman Hart?
I do like him. Yes.
Do you think he'd be a good mayor?
That's a loaded question.
Well, I mean, that's what
Well,
actually,
we give the tough questions on here. We try to.
To me,
Right.
to me, it goes back again to the taxpayer dollar and the efficient handling
money.
of the money.
Right.
When I have been in meetings with both the mayor and Chairman Hart, service delivery. Right now, we're doing pension and benefits discussions.
Right.
Mayor Rickard absolutely knows the questions to ask,
Right.
which a lot of times lends to what a person's understanding
Right.
of a system is.
Right.
Municipal finance is different than just how you may run your home.
Right.
So it's very important that a person has very good understanding of municipal finance in order to be a very effective leader for a government.
So that's your roundabout way of saying you still support Rickard. Mayor Rickard.
Wow.
Basically. But for mayor, I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that.
No,
she doesn't owe anything to Sam Hart.
No.
I mean, she can
No,
still be
I mean,
friends with
you
him.
know,
If she
they-
thinks Rickard's the right guy for the job, that's
Well,
her entitlement.
because he's it really is her decision is more economic than it is whether she likes the guy or doesn't like the guy. It's not an emotional thing. Like if I don't like you, I don't care if you manage the money well. I'm not gonna deal with you. But and maybe that's a good standard to go by. Separate the two.
Or we just had a stop go. It stopped on when you were middle of you talking, Urban.
By the way, you got all sorts of questions here that.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up. We'll get.
But we're gonna have to get to it.
What we'll do is bring a couple up. A couple people got
It's
some
not
questions.
coming back.
What?
It ain't. Connection failed. It ain't changing.
Are we down?
Yeah.
Can we get back up?
It says it's loaded.
I sent you an article about the internet, the hackers. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what's going on. It's been going on with the internet.
Oh yeah, we talked about that yesterday.
We can't go out like that.
Okay.
Everybody wants it back on. They were holding. There we go.
I know, of course. They're
We back
loving the
on?
show.
Woo.
They're loving the show today.
All right, gamer girl. Okay, we're back. So, Urban, go ahead real quick. What you were saying when it cut off.
What was I saying?
Oh God.
Oh.
Basically, we asked her about the mayor's whether
Right.
Sam Hart, who she said she thinks that Commissioner Hart will take votes actually from Mayor Rickard.
Right.
I think the plan is they're trying to get him to take votes from
Right.
Jack Ellis.
Okay.
But she was explaining that, and then you were saying something about it, Urban.
Well, the two candidates that are more alike are Rickard
And Hart.
And Hart.
Right, they're
yeah.
buddies.
So-
I know that's right.
so
Yeah,
they're going
one's
to
a
share-
different
they're going to
version
share
of the
votes.
other.
True, true,
They're going to share voters.
true. But what?
Whereas Ellis, if you're an Ellis supporter, it's black and white. I mean, it's not a good analogy.
No, but you're
it's,
right.
It's,
There's nothing wrong with that.
it's down the
You're
line.
right.
You know, you're
It
either
is. Right.
if you support Ellis,
Right.
you don't support Rickard.
Either
But
one
what? But what if there is
But
that
if you
percentage?
support
Right.
Rickard,
But what if there's that percentage of blacks that say, "Look, I want another black mayor, but
Just
I'm
not
not
Ellis,
very
I
happy
guess.
with Ellis." You know what I'm saying? I wasn't happy. So what if those
guess that-
blacks come into play and they go, "I don't like Rickard either," especially after this whole Sammy Davis shooting. A lot of the black community refuses to support Rickard.
Oh yeah.
We know that for a fact. That's
What
why.
about Kuznets?
That's why I think.
They'd rather
Mayor
go with
Rickard's going to
Kuznets.
lose again. And I'm not supporting any of them, but I really think Rickard's going to lose based on the way he handled this Sammy Davis.
Well, I
Jr.
don't think
shooting.
that Jack Ellis is going to win based on this either, because based on
know he has an
what
agenda. He does.
I've seen is people felt that he showboated.
Well, yeah, and plus,
You know, they were like,
he's been
here he
elected
comes
twice. It's
back.
like, you know.
Yeah, but he did really well. I mean, he got close to beating Rickard last time. He lost by what, like 2% of the vote? It was like 40, 50 something. Yeah. I mean, it was very close, and that's what made me think that is Sam Hart in here just to try to take votes away from Jack Ellis, and I don't know, but
no,
we'll
I
see.
think his supporters are diehard.
They-
I don't think that they would they would waver that way.
You're loving that.
I think that.
Okay, we're going to ask you. Gamer Girl wants to know, we cannot throw it off as much as it might embarrass you both.
Oh,
Gamer Girl is
God.
our
I can't
favorite.
believe you're going
She
there.
wants to know, Mary Paris, would you go on a date with Derek?
Okay. And the
If
thing
you can
is,
give an honest answer.
No,
No.
I don't date locals.
All right, honest answer.
you're going to have to move out of town.
Honest
Ted.
answer. See, there was no tap dancing on that.
Town.
There was no tap dancing.
Well,
on
that's
that.
something personal, and it's
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
that's my answer. It's like, yeah, no, I don't date locals.
That's right.
Okay.
She might have a reason for that.
Nothing within a 20
there
mile
you
radius
go.
of Macon.
We asked Gamer Girl. I asked. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
because
go-
all our chatters know about Derek. And
we have this whole thing on the
single.
show where Derek's
Wow.
single and how he can't find a good woman.
And he's the nicest guy in the world.
Okay,
That's great.
let's
That's
go ahead
great.
and do Wordsmith. What it is every show, Marion, is we do this segment called Wordsmith where somebody randomly picks a page number and a verse number.
I think they gave it already.
No, this time Miriam's going to do it. She has to have the honors.
Yeah,
Don't
but
look.
she's going to read it?
No, he's going to read it.
Okay.
But she's going to pick the numbers.
You know, we never
Pick-
did the
pick
Daily
between
Bread.
one and like, you can do it still afterwards.
Okay.
We can pick between 1 and like 540.
Okay.
Any page number, and then once we get there, randomly say 1 through 10, and this is going to explain to our audience and us the origin of a word, how that word came about.
Oh,
We
okay.
do this every show.
Okay,
And
so you
give
just
us a
want
number.
a number between
1 and 540. Any.
Okay, let's go with 260.
260.
Page 260.
All right, don't look though. Now you got to give him a number. When he tells you how many words are on that page, you have to give him that number, either 1 through 10 or whatever. How many are on there?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 10.
1 through 10.
8.
8.
Here we go. Wordsmith, word of the day.
All righty.
Oh.
And what is the word? Oh,
The
get
word-
out of here.
Oh,
Word
this is
is-
too funny.
The word is gout.
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 G-O-U-T.
Gout.
Okay, talk about it.
Okay.
Yes.
The Latin gutta, G-U-T-T-A, meant literally drop. The spelling of gutta in English, gutta percha, shows its influence, although the term originated in Malay, I guess near Malaysia, and getta percha, a gum tree.
Gum tree.
It was applied metaphorically to various diseases ascribed to the precipitation of fluids from one part of the body to another, among them pain in the joints, which was supposed to be caused by a poisonous material deposited from the blood, not far wide of the mark. For the condition now known as gout is due to the accumulation of uric acid products in the joints. English acquired the word via Old French goutte.
And look at this. This is amazing. You were one number off of the word govern.
Oh,
If you had picked 9, that would have been so perfect. She would have picked the word govern.
Wow.
Govern. Isn't
which
that
is what I
awesome?
need to do.
See? There you go.
Well,
I already posted an Eat Your Words last night. We won't read it on here. Go check the Facebook page. Like our Facebook page. Thank you very much, Miriam. We appreciate
Thank
you
you.
coming on.
I really
Do it.
Thank
Go
you
out
for
with
your
that.
time.
Go out
Thank
with
you.
that.
Thank you.
okay, we're going to go out with this
Let's just
because
say
it's so
goodbye.
apropos.
Let's
This
do
is
the
another
chatter
19
call out.
factor
Let's
here.
let's do the call out to the chatters, and then Irvin's going to leave with the Daily Bread, that segment Irvin always does every show.
Okay.
But let's say bye to the chatters.
Yes.
Thank you so
Saibuki,
much.
Rosalind, thank you, Southpaw, The Bean, Yirag, Gamer Girl, Cactus News Network, Omninus,
Brian.
Anonymous. Brian, thanks for sticking around.
Right, buddy. Good question. You got
Tricep
so we
Diary.
can get to all your questions.
Lou McCullough
Illuminati
and Mark 8.
And the few that were here and left earlier, we had DS Photo Guy on
And
earlier.
We had Saibuki.
Three
Oh,
Bears,
Saibuki's still in.
Saibuki. We had Bean was on, or did you already say the Bean? You said the Bean.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll be back tomorrow for Flip It Friday. We're not
Thank
going
you.
out yet. Irvin's going to leave with the Daily Bread. We thank Miriam Paris for showing up and being
Yes,
a good
thank you,
sport.
Miriam.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
the
guys.
answers.
Thanks.
Great-
Really appreciate
great
having
job.
you with you.
Thank you all. And Irvin, take us out. We'll see you tomorrow for Flip It Friday.
Okay, and this is for March 28th, Thursday, and it was night. During the business trip to Philadelphia, I attended an evening service. Of course, this is not me, this is the writer. On Thursday before Easter, service of communion and tenebrae. He's got all sorts of pictures of me. An evening of service on the Thursday before Easter. A service of communion and tenebrae, darkness. held in a small chapel lit by candles. Following the bread and the cup, the passage was read out loud from the Gospel of John. One candle was extinguished, and we sang a verse from the hymn about Jesus' journey to the cross. It was repeated 14 times until the chapel was completely dark. In silence, we knelt in prayer, and when one left, one by one, without speaking. The darkness of this type of service can remind us of the dark elements surrounding Jesus' death. Think of his last meal with his disciples, John 13:21-30. He explained that one of them would betray him. Only Jesus knew it was Judas. Having received a piece of bread, Judas then went out immediately, and it was night. On the darkest evening of Jesus' life, he agonized in prayer in the darkness, faced with wrongful arrest, endured humiliation at the hands of the religious leaders, and winced at Peter's denial. Yet he moved faithfully across the cross where he would die for our sins. Jesus endured the darkness of death to give us light and life. Praise him for what he went through for us. See from his head, his hands, his feet, sorrow and love flow mingling down. See from his head, his hands, his feet. Having received a piece of bread, Judas then went out immediately. John 13:30. Does that not apply? Having survived the humiliation that you went through, the backstabbing that occurred, he still went faithfully to the cross. And so I believe that's the connection here today, folks, is that Miriam Paris is one of those people who went through hell to serve humanity, her city and her state. And I just want to thank you for being here, for being kind of that sacrificial lamb for all of us. And I hope that later on that we can vote you back in so that you're back where you belong. Thanks for coming.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
It's
I
11:30 right now at Macon, Georgia. It's 48 degrees with a high of 66 and 39. So
Thank you all, Chatters viewers. We love you.
keep your windbreakers
Thank
on.
love
you.
you.
Tomorrow.
Take
Half
care.
an hour extra time there.
Yes. Bye-bye. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. They got Charlie's at least.
Yeah.
That was
This
funny.
should be here.
No, listen, I really had a great time, guys.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that while they heard. There we go.
Wait till it comes up.
Great show.